All right, welcome to the Resonant State. We are back once again exploring the hidden corners of media and the hidden corners of the current state of geopolitical affairs. Joined once again by Mr. William Ramsey of William Ramsey Investigates, one of our top investigative, you could say, journalist broadcasters. Mr. Sean McCann, said it right this time,
You're
from
good.
Wake the Dead, and this is also a joint Wake the Dead broadcast. And just before I pass the mic, I just wanted to go over in the past week since we did our last broadcast, right? So I got some different figures. Um, one article said 6 shootings in 36 hours. Okay, but we have a couple major ones of the Michigan Grand Blanc Township church attack, and I'm just gonna throw this out there. I'm not saying I know what this means, but just to say there's something odd in this article. Why? Just because of the Times. Watch the Times. So the police chief William Kane came in at 10:25 and 32 seconds and said, quote, "We had officers on the ground at 10:25 and 57 seconds. He said the suspect was neutralized at 10:33:44 in the parking lot. Breitbart News identified the attacker as a 40-year-old Michigan man." So, interesting release of particular sequence of numbers with the seconds and written in a kind of a weird way, right? So you have
With
the
the
number,
seconds.
yeah, with the seconds, and it has 10 20 as 10, the number 10:25 and 32 seconds, 10:25 and 57 seconds. But when it says the suspect was neutralized, it's just written 10:33:44. Yeah, I mean, you can show it to you.
Wow.
That's on my. Well, you probably can't see that, but we have
Wow.
4+8 wounded. There's just lots of September 27th. So, and then there's other various other attacks, and so I'm just going to leave it there. But it's just like the guy on the boat coming from the water, right? This was in North Carolina at the riverfront restaurant. Someone in a boat driving by with a machine gun and just completely escaping. So that being said, we definitely live in interesting times, and so to continue with this, let's go ahead and Sean or William, take it away.
Uh, I just saying hello to my audience and thank you for listening. And it's always a pleasure to be swap casting with you, Hans. I'm glad that you're doing the Resonant State. And welcome, William, a good friend. We're very glad to have you here. And my audience loves your information. And these deep dives are fantastic. You just had recently a show with Tinfoil Hat, Sam Tripoli, and it was, I mean, you tried to put it all in, but is it like there's not enough time to, it's just so I love these, how we're able, this is part 5 here, and we're really getting into it, into the, the nitty gritty of everything. And that's my favorite kind of podcast. So thank you, William.
Thanks for having me. Great to be with you guys. I've had great responses from people. People have referenced our shows already. We've only done 4 parts, but like I said, I could do 30 hours. I did 90 minutes with Tripoli, and it just was like we've covered so much more than that. There's a lot there, and I think that the kind of template or the exemplar of Manchurian Candidate is very important as a timestamp, but also the information that's in there. And I'm finding out more and more as I do more shows. Like you guys have talked to Tom and Brett over at PsyOp Cinema. Brett actually went and checked the stuff that was taken from Manchurian Candidate, the book, put in the movie, and those academic articles were real. Like I didn't know that until I talked to those guys. I talked to them. I don't think that show's out yet, but so I'm learning as we go too. So I've learned components and pieces, and I think our last show, that episode 4, was really important too, to show that Condon, how keyed in Condon was, that he wrote that intro to Operation Mind Control, Bauert's book. So I recommend people, if they haven't heard that, go back and listen to that, because I think he was telling something really important. Like you will be almost handicapped by not knowing these mind control techniques or these propaganda techniques or whatever. But even the mind control, and it goes to Esterbrook's, which we're trying to get to like the 500-page document of Esterbrook's, but there's so much backstory there. And that's why I brought up Program to Heal, the great Dave McGowan, Politics of Serial Murder, because his intro to this book, which one of you guys are going to read through, I think Hans elected to do it, but it's so important because he just got this distillation of these concepts. And if you even look at the front of this book, some of these guys have really crazy backgrounds, military backgrounds, Vietnam backgrounds. Just like off the top of my head, it's like Ramirez's brother was like in Vietnam, hardcore stuff. And Heidnik was definitely an MK Ultra victim. Like he was in LSD kind of things. Manson, we know, like it was involved, knew a lot of strange stuff. So he covers a lot of this book, and it's really just such an important book. People have tried to diminish the book, and they failed. Like they've really failed. Like I think this book was published in 2007. So
what's interesting though is that I think I'm gonna have an article hopefully done today for those guys, but that you find that these things, there's always these precursors, right? You have the Zodiac, you have the Rolling Stone song, right? I'm gonna knock down your plate glass window. Not talking about the Boston. Not one of those, right? This is about Richard Ramirez before Richard Ramirez was caught or even really had happened. But that's, the song is about Richard Ramirez. And so you see, and McGowan, there was a YouTube series, I think that's deleted, but McGowan really had, a very, really an excellent overview of so many of these killers, many of whom were protected for a long time, right? They just couldn't catch him. Until they decided to pull the plug. And then they always let's offload 150 killings on, we haven't solved these cases. He did it. I mean, they don't even bother. They just said, it's done. And this happened several times also.
And then George W. Bush pardons the guy and lets him out of prison.
Right, Gacy, right? Oh, yeah, it was no, it wasn't
Gacy, but this happened.
It was Lucas.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what they did with the Boston Strangler. The Boston Strangler, they just said he did it all. It's him, and move forward. Yeah.
There's like 4 or 5 instances of that, right? The other one, the guy who's real handsome. He's one of the major. Ted Bundy. Yeah. So same thing with Ted Bundy, and they would just say, literally there was like dozens of unsolved cases. Oh, Ted did it. Okay, Ted did it. I mean, even if it was like the flimsiest possible connection. You know what I mean?
Like it's not physically possible for him to drive that far north to get to kill the other person. But yeah, they were just, I'm sorry, but
go ahead.
Okay, sorry. I just wanted to preface this before we talk. I mean, what is being described in this book, Program to Kill, is government SRA. It's like government-run satanic ritual abuse, trauma-based mind control run by the government to make super soldiers. And so also, I wanted to bring people, to remind people of what I talked about maybe in part 1 was Russ Dizdar's Black Awakening. So maybe not just the government ones, but the people that are programmed sleepers have violence instructions in them ready to erupt when the signal arises. So like this is, there's the MK Ultra, like people talk about LSD and stuff, but really the trauma-based mind control and the splitting of minds and the alter personalities and stuff, demonizing, just look at Jeffrey Dahmer and like his altar and like what he was doing, the black magic stuff. Like it goes very deep. It wasn't, the government mind control is part of it, but it's a lot more than that too. But the government does these things on purpose to create super soldiers, like make ultra violence and then set them loose on the battlefield. And it's like the battlefield is the testing ground where they can see what's possible. And you got the My Lai massacre, and you got all these and then the soldiers come home. They don't say a word. They don't want to talk about this stuff. Like tell their friends and family about how they had to murder babies and burn villages and stuff. So like that right there occults it, and it keeps that little bubble of science over there, and then they can take the learned pieces and apply it now in our day, this was, now it's like they have it down to a science, and we just need to be aware of that. So I just want to bring that up before we start. And thank you guys. Thank you, Hans, for reading this too.
Yeah, and there was like hundreds, if not thousands, of My-Lais. Like My-Lai was just one. They were just massacres after massacres that never were reported. And just massive crimes against humanity there. That unspeakable stuff.
Yeah, and one thing just to mention, like when I opened with that, this is of course tied in with all these shootings. There was the one I had talked to you, Sean. I couldn't even find that on the web. Maybe I didn't search that hard, but the one at the Nassau golf course, right? That also, or maybe that was last week. But
I haven't posted that yet, but the listeners will hear that. I'm sorry, everybody.
Yeah. So all these things, but the one thing is that there's different types of scenarios. There's generating terror, but then there's a localized aspect. And the fact is that on one level, it would appear that the signals are just coming in hard and fast. You know what I mean? And people like the guy at the, I won't go too much in a tangent, but I'm saying like we are looking at certain situational occurrences that are statistical anomalies, right? Is it possible to have this many things happen in this way that without some type of coordination?
It doesn't seem like it.
Dude, I mean, if they're creating the culture, I mean, they're creating, there's coordination all the way down. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, of course it's coordinated.
But my favorite one, though, from this week is that there was the bombing of the bus, right? Ice Cube's tour bus, and Antifa blew it up because Ice.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Ice Cube.
Wow.
And they firebombed his tour bus.
Oh my God.
So at least.
And it just goes to show the ignorance and how ignorant you have to be to do that kind of thing. Like who firebombs something? I'm crazy people. Like really.
But
here we go. Black Awakening. Right.
Ice Cube. I mean, it's not ice immigration.
I know Ice Cube is doing like Disney movies and stuff. Like what the hell, man? Okay.
I mean, I don't think it's the same sort of font, you're going to find on the ice. Well, maybe. Okay.
So this is Russ Dizdar's book, the cover of his book, The Black Awakening, Rise of the Satanic Super Soldiers and the Coming Chaos. He died of COVID suddenly.
Supposedly, yeah.
And his wife all of a sudden. I think that was actually the first time I had Jamie J on my show to talk about SRA. That was the first time I was like, okay, I got to talk about SRA on my show, really get deep into it.
I have a signed copy of this book. He sent me a signed copy somewhere in my old
bless
libraries.
him.
Yeah, so.
That guy's great.
I think he was killed. I think he was killed by the government.
Me too.
He and his wife and Rob Skiba, like they were killed by they were executed by a weaponized hospital system. I don't think there's any question about it.
Yeah.
The Biden administration was super dark, bro. You want to talk about chaos and Black Awakening? Like get you into hospital and kill you. Like,
yeah,
we know Cuomo. These pills are poisonous. Have some.
Yeah.
Have some REM death is near. Run death is near. Like literally, Skiba's like, don't get me in the hospital, and don't give me any pills. And that's what they did. Put him on that breathing apparatus. He was gone. Young, healthy guy. So rest in peace, guys.
Yeah,
they can target you guys if you don't think you can be targeted, or they can find background out of you. You're very naive. They can just pull up your social security number, do background check. Figure if you're like a Christian, like these guys are pretty ardent Christians, and the Biden administration was anti-Christian. So like, why not just get rid of them? Like we'll just call it a medical accident.
Well, it clears them out of the way for the next thing. They didn't want his voice to be going while the Black Awakening was actually happening. They wanted to get him out of the way, just like they got rid of the guy that made the PCR tests right before the
Mullins.
Kerry Mullins.
Yeah. And like, so just like they got rid of Kubrick right before 2001, I mean, if that happened, I don't know. But I mean,
Dizdar was super keyed into the stuff we're covering right now.
Yes.
Well, he was speaking. He was on the ground though.
Yeah.
He wasn't just researching. I mean, he was traveling around the country, right? He was going to the heart of this stuff.
He was trying to save children.
I think he was where you guys were. Like he was from Hawaii.
Yeah. Ohio, Pennsylvania. Yeah, exactly. Akron actually, which is like right near me. But yeah, like, and he would travel into Pennsylvania, and he would work with the police forces. He was a police chaplain
Yeah.
And he would teach them about dark occultism and what to look for and how to spot it. And they would bring him in to speak with suspects of crimes that are demonized. And the demons would show up and start speaking fluent German, talking about the cult of the Black Flame and how, they are going to gather the armies of the world to fight Jesus. Like when the apocalypse comes, and but basically it's the creation of the one world order by making chaos all over the planet, and then having one person to be able to squash that chaos, and then that will be the new king, and everybody will be like, "Yay, we love you," just like what Machiavelli would say like a long time ago, or what the guy who started the Illuminati. In 1776.
Adam Weishaupt.
Weishaupt, right? Yeah, you got to make them want you to be the leader. You can't just fight and kill the leader and become leader. You have to make the people want you to be the leader, and then that's how it happens. So, like, this is the violence, is the trauma, this chaos of coming super soldiers. It's like worldwide trauma-based mind control. That the trauma goes into the whole world from the chaos of people getting stabbed on the neck on the train, or the other, like the guy dressed up as a Joker on the train in Asia. He was like stabbing everybody, and then he sits down and smokes a cigarette and like dressed as the Joker, just like the other guy who was like at the Aurora Theater, like they have the same programming when they do the violence and sit down and get arrested. And then they're like the lone weirdo gunman, and so like there's switching happening, just like the guy who killed John Lennon, Chapman. Yep, he sat down and read a book. And the guy who did the Aurora shooting went to his car and waited. He just sat there and waited.
Like after a horrific series of murders, right?
Yes,
it's just like
a lot of them are programmed to shoot themselves too. But go ahead, please. Yep,
it's just like what they put in Manchurian Candidate.
Exactly. That's what I was bringing it to. Yes,
it's a perfect weapon. He has no knowledge of events. They're copying Esther Brooks, I think, because we're going to see once we can get to Esther Brooks, you're going to see that's what Esther Brooks is talking about.
Exactly. And the fact that the Boart thing and Condon with the broken legs of the clown, the Grok thing, right. That's trauma to change the person into a more usable tool for whatever, in this case, be a clown, which is kind of a funny metaphor for being in government or something, like it's like to do the illusion and to dance for others, but anyway, like that right there is like directly, hey dude, it's crippling you and cripples your mind and it makes you broken, and then the broken self afterward is easily fits into the society properly. You know what I mean? If you look at the beginning of Brave New World, they like traumatize the kids so that they can fit in the society when they get older. Like they show them a rose and they go to sniff the rose and then they spray them with this poisonous gas. And it's like, ugh. So every time they associate a rose with the gas, and so it's like reprogramming the God created child to fit into the satanic world. It's like, refiguring the mind to like fit into follow orders and, accept the death cult.
This is a website. I didn't give this guy permission to put stuff, but you can listen to Russ Dizdar and me drone on. I'll put a link to the show notes to
that's great. I want to
Kingdom Production.
That.
They've ripped this really fast, man. This is 8 days ago. I didn't get this guy guys, the copyright stuff that's happened to me is unbelievable.
Yeah.
This is just a straight rip. I don't know what talk this is.
And join members only, so he's got it behind his paywall.
Wow. Money off me,
that happened to me, dude. It's like behind.
It just goes to show how smart you are, William. Very good job. I mean,
Kingdom Productions.
Yeah, Pastor Jeremy. He's a Christian pastor.
He's stealing. He's
taking money off of me, dude.
Pastor Jeremy.
Just Jesus.
Repent.
Yeah, repent now.
Yeah.
You can this and pay me.
You can repent.
Don't steal, but
anyway, whatever. Anyway, the Russ Dizdar stuff is still out there.
Yeah, God bless Russ Dizdar.
God bless you. Bless your memory.
Yeah.
if people don't know this, this cover of Program to Kill pretty graphic, but it's actually a real occult crime that happened in San Francisco, where somebody literally drew, like an occultist drew a pentagram on some dude's chest with a knife. That's what that is. So it's a satanic crime. But I'd rather not just show that. It's pretty dark.
Yeah.
Thanks.
All right. You want me to get started here?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
Okay,
please.
great. Yeah, so I'll go ahead and I will begin to read this. And just before I start, to remember, William, we did those shows on, or you did the shows on Catcher in the Rye, right? So that book coming out of the OSS, okay, coming out of the group foundationally that generated the entire, from the whole Macy conference, Stanford Research Institute, all this stuff, right? All these guys came out of the precursor to the CIA and this book. So just to recall, you said that people stop, they do a killing, they're there reading a book, they're sitting in the car. And of course, Catcher in the Rye, one thing we talked about in the show, he is totally dissociated, right? He cannot perceive anything in the world unless it's going through, dissociate means he's going through his own filter. He's just, you could say it's egocentric, but it's a dissociative state, is it not? I mean, it's
worse than that, Hans. He like loses his time connection to time.
Oh, yeah.
And it's shown there in those last chapters. The subtext of that book, he's going more and more insane. And you can see him having conversations where his time lapse, and that's another symptom or another aspect of some of these people who've been tampered with, is they lose the capacity to relate to time normally. And that's what happens to Holden Caulfield.
So that's because the switching. So like with the front self is experiencing time up until 5:20 p.m. or whatever, and then the other one comes in, and then so when the front personality comes back, that's just a blackout. It does not have that information. That is stored in a different part of the brain. So like when they try to remember stuff, a lot of that's a big clue for people that have been abused with SRA is a lot of missing time, and they can't, what the hell? I don't understand why I don't remember that. But it's like a defense mechanism for your brain to maintain sanity because of the horrifying abuse.
That's certainly part of it, but another part is that there is a world, this mental space, right? You could say that's taken outside of time, right? So this sort of traumatic programming garden, or these loops, right? Holden Caulfield talking about the geese, things like that. So this shows he's circling around. He's like, there's that great book on mind control, movie, right? Kids movie, I Am the Cheese. You guys familiar with that? Oh my gosh. I saw this when I was in school. So this I Am the Cheese is deep. This kid is living in this village, biking around in a circle, meeting different people. He's under mind control. It turns out that his father was probably assassinated, and he's put here and just riding his bicycle. And it's a kid's book. He's riding his bicycle around this thing, and it's total MK stuff. Okay. And it's like, but that's another level of that, not just the missing time, but being in the cybernetic loop. So look at this kid.
Think about a cheese is in a mousetrap. So like that's the honeypot of the pedos is that kid right there. Like, if just think about the Rainbow Room and the glass room and where they do the Epstein, where they do the filming, maybe that kid is like going around being the local hooker boy, I don't know. I'm sorry. I got a sick mind, I guess. I've been way too into this shit for a while.
The world is it's crazy. Just like the intro to this, there's more and more of these crazy shootings.
And that's another thing. See, in a sense, you're looking at a cybernetic system implementation within individual and aggregate collective groupings of consciousness.
Back to Norbert Wiener, Hans, like we talked about in prior shows.
Yeah. So, and I think they're all sort of interlocked in this way. But yeah, this is something really interesting. I think we want to connect with this. I had done some stuff on this before, but with the movie and the book is really like, it is deep. It's intense. It is exactly, like that state of being in this conditioned reflex, because in a sense, that's where the dissociative state is. They're going back outside of time, right? They're essentially living in this permanently disconnected state. Okay, and I can stop there. I'll start with
like a solipsism disconnection from time, like an own little bubble kind of thing. Is that what you mean?
Well, they've been inserted. This can be a completely constructed narrative stream, like a whole life process, and you think you're actually moving forward. And so at one level, you can say the psychological, right? That space, you think you're moving forward. You're still just going around in this cycling, right? In this thing, because in a sense, and this is also how you're able to threaten that space, can create cognitive dissonance, whatever. And again, it's going to be mostly unconscious, but it's definitely
Right.
look into that.
Programmed to be in the cul-de-sac and keep spinning around.
It's a narrative.
Right.
So this is I've seen this. People saying, my neighbor has a sign: live the best story you can. We got to change our story. I've been talking about this since my PhD dissertation. Narrative structuring of reality. It is the narrative structuring of consciousness, and is this formulation that creates what actually is entered into your mind as you perceive consciously. This is the filter. This can be changed, of course, but this is your narrative structure, in a sense, will filter your reality. Okay, and it will filter it in that you won't even see or hear certain things, because it is blocked out of consciousness, because it's considered not to be important, or it's whatever.
It's amazing how that we can be programmed like that. It's holy crap. Dude.
We're in like the most intense like mind control thing in world history, like the humanity, Americans in particular. Like
after that worldwide thing that happened 4 years ago, like holy crap,
they unleashed like hell. Like it really goes back to King Charles III and all of his aristocratic cronies, but like they unleashed it on the earth, and it was just like,
we talked about King Charles and his painting there with the blood,
monarch and the sword,
the monarch
sword, and the demons behind him,
and dude, the blood just right there, that deep red blood. It's just like the whole thing is covered in blood, and it's just, and he's there proud, standing in all the blood. Like, what is that really talking about? Like, he's there for the culling. He's, you know what I mean? Like, he's in charge of the culling. Yeah. And then after him will be the next one who will be in charge of the rebuilding of the new, with his kid there. His in the picture of his kid, he's like holding up a goat with the rear foot, like holding up the rear foot of a goat. Like, dude, what is that, dark, dude? You know what I mean?
Super dark, and the magic circle and all that stuff with him.
Yeah, dude.
Ties into Eyes Wide Shut.
Yes, that too. Yeah.
Friends with pedophile, like stone cold, like necrophiliac, like freaking Savile could come and go Buckingham Palace as he wished. You could just there's videos of him just like la-di-da, I'm just gonna go visit.
He talks about it on the program, the late night talk show. He was talking about, oh yeah, I smuggled a kid into the palace there.
But the thing was that he had all these gaffes where he said, oh, she's looking pretty good. I like to see. Like, there's one of the creepiest things. He's on the show, and he's wearing all of these glass eyes. So he's got all these necklaces. These are all eyes he stole from corpses.
He had the same eyeball ring that Alex DeLarge wears in.
The thing on his wrist.
Clockwork Orange.
Yeah. Right.
Clockwork Orange is very important too. Anthony Burgess is central. The Clockwork Orange is, in a sense, what I'm talking about. That Clockwork Orange relates, we'll probably touch on this as we go further.
It's about behavioral modification, right? It's the whole thing.
Totally.
The Ludovico method and the head thing. That's what Kaczynski wore. It's literally that head. Like, you think it's a work of fiction, but they used to put these freaking football helmets on people with nodes and stuff. Crazy.
Yeah. The beginning of Full Metal Jacket says it all. Well, not Full Metal Jacket. The Clockwork Orange says everything. With the ultraviolet gang, when they meet the old man singing under the bridge, and he's like singing about Molly and her, hips and stuff, but then they show up, and he says, "Go on and do me in, you bastards. There's no, attention paid to law and order anymore, because they let the young get at the old." And he's talking about, men on the moon. satellites spinning around the earth, and he's like talking about how dumb it is to be paying attention to space when there's like real problems right here. And then the guy says, Alex is like, oh, and what's so wrong with the world? And he's like, and then he just beats the crap out of him. And that right there is, they are a troop of monkeys, just like 2001, and they got a staff and beating the other one. And so it's like, what is wrong with this world? The same thing, like psychopaths beating like the elderly,
This cycling, I mean, can we not see that? I mean, at that time that came out, don't we have that basically in Europe at least?
Yeah.
Where people, they literally, you commit a crime, you're back out. You are, I mean, and these are people, there's no question they're going to do. There's no question, right? They've already done like 20 rapes, and they've smuggled drugs and like 5 attempted murders. Oh, he's reformed. He's not going to do anything.
We need more room for the political prisoners. Well, that's why we need this Ludovico method to get them out of the way.
Well, you know what? Let me start reading because we're getting a little off.
Okay, sorry guys.
We're going off the reservation. Not too much.
Not too much. Not too much. We could do a whole show on the Black Awakening too.
Yeah.
Zip this in, but Program to Kill. This is the title. I just don't feel like staring at this. So I find something else to look at.
Yeah, that's okay.
Do we have the page?
Let's do that. I'll bring up.
Yeah. So I'll start. So this is from the introduction. Mind Control 101. Quote: the experimenters will be particularly interested in dissociative states, from the abaissement des niveaux mental to multiple personality in so-called mediums, and an attempt will be made to induce a number of states of this kind using hypnosis from a declassified MK Ultra document. It's probably safe to say that this is not your typical true crime book. It is instead a journey into an even darker, more disturbing world. One that exists in the shadow of the world depicted in the hundreds of formulaic serial killer biographies that line the shelves of America's bookstores. For many readers, much of the information contained within these pages will be unfamiliar, and some of the theories and ideas that are discussed may seem rather bizarre. Perhaps the most controversial theory that readers will find themselves confronted with concerns of phenomena commonly referred to as mind control. Although the concept of mind control has long been the staple of that polluted wellspring of information known as the conspiracy theory literature, where it often mingles freely with outlandish tales of reptilian aliens and paranormal activity. It has never been a polite topic of discussion in mainstream culture. The only exposure that most people have had to the idea of mind control is through the often metaphorical and frequently absurd images that Hollywood has provided in a decades-long string of films, from Manchurian Candidate and the Stepford Wives in the 60s and 70s to such recent offerings as Conspiracy and Zoolander, along with remakes of both the Manchurian Candidate and the Stepford Wives.
The remake, just sorry to interrupt, but the remake of the Manchurian Candidate is only worth your time if you want to see bad cinema, because it's just a pallid, colorized, weak version of the original. Yeah.
Do you think it was there to scoop up the people that are trying to look back at the original to make them not look at the original?
Maybe. It's from 2004.
I'm just thinking, when Hollywood creates a historical thing, like say Pearl Harbor, they're rewriting a new narrative, and just like history books type of thing,
It's under the Bush administration, so you have to see this overarching thing of mind control from Dulles to Helms to Bush Senior to his son. Like, this is all part of this historical thing. So your comment, I think, is very apt. Like, I think you're right. I think that it's like, okay, we're going to make this, but we're going to take out all the references to historical literature and actual visual stuff and turn this different. They do have kind of a handler. He has a handler, but it's not it's not even close to being as clever as the original 62 one. No way. And it's not. It's they didn't do Condon's book. They did all this stuff. They added new things like implants and stuff. So like they're implanted, which is actually kind of a distraction from what's going on, because even I'm not saying these people aren't implanted, but I'm saying that these people are the real ones are conditioned. They're conditioned through hypnosis, drugs, and torture. So it's kind of like a distraction. So yeah, I think you're right.
Well,
Well,
you know,
we're-
it is important to understand is that the research on, I think the AI is going crazy or whatever. Might enhance my appearance. No, but basically the use of of frequency range stuff was their research was ongoing. It's not like they just, they were doing studies on that in the 40s and 50s. You know what I mean? There was now the maybe the technology wasn't as good, but just with the direct frequency or other types of things, right? Of stimulus effects.
they have sound weapons for crowd control that makes you puke. The police have that ability now.
They just used it in Serbia. They used something. You literally
See?
can see the crowd just split,
Wow.
like the splitting of the Red Sea or something.
Yeah,
Let me see if I can find that video.
real quick, while we're talking about movies and we're talking about Program to Kill, I just wanted to bring up Jacob's Ladder. That whole thing of like, is it real reality? Is it in his mind? What is he experiencing? Are they demons? Like that whole thing. And the government experiments with not normal LSD. It was like BZ, which was like a real type of LSD to create like mood changes and like turn them ultra violent. And I don't know if that actually happened, the incident, but these people in the movie, they were dosed in their food, and then they just started killing each other and ripping each other apart like monkeys, like tearing the faces off of each other, like total ultra violence. And then the government was just like, oh, they were killed in some operation. Whoops. And then one guy supposedly survived or whatever, and he's experiencing and he's trying to figure out what happened to my brain. Jacob's Ladder is very insightful for people that are diving into this type of research.
Well, he's also in this alternate universe, right? I mean, he's
Yes.
definitely an alternative. My camera started moving by itself. I don't know why. That happened. It's a little weird, just kind of moving up and down. But
yeah,
yes.
he was in an alternate reality.
Yeah,
his experience was totally manipulated, controlled, maybe. And there was his handler was like cracking his bones, and then he was getting more flashes. Like, there's a lot to it.
That's what maybe one degree of what I was trying to talk about. It's a little abstract, combining all these things, but that kind of the space he was in, right? I mean, that's yeah. Anyways, kind of.
So this is the crowd with using the sound weapon that you're talking about, William?
Exactly. Watch, listen. They shot it right down the center of the street.
Wow.
It worked.
Wow.
Yeah.
If they can control our biological processes like that from a distance, I mean,
Imagine
holy
what else they
crap.
can do. Yeah.
Imagine.
Well, this is not necessarily a control mechanism as an offensive mechanism. Right?
I'm just saying, like, it makes you feel like you want to puke. It's like controlling your body so that you will involuntarily regurgitate. You know what I mean? And to avoid that, people move. So
it's operating directly on it's operating on the brainstem and on the brain itself and on the whole frequency, and also
Exactly.
the body too. But
Yes.
But I mean, but it's there's a lot, but there's ranges of things that can have impacts and influence, and they can seem to be very, relatively speaking, subtle, right? What I'm saying, but you can create a state of anger, right? We were just talking about that BZ. That's another thing. You can generate a state of irritation, a state of little bit, doesn't have to, depending on the level that people are at, right? Someone like me, it's not going to affect me because I'm completely calm all the time. But
Right, you're hiding in your bathtub, right?
no, man,
I'm just kidding.
no, well, no. What I'm saying is that I've noticed this, right? I mean, I've noticed it very graphically, actually. And then, of course, people are rude, and then the tendency, like kind of, there's a tendency to react like, "Hey, what are you saying? Whatever. Let's talk
Right.
back. Come on."
There
And
was
to the cashier. What I'm saying is like you get into it, and it builds up. Right. But there can be an initial trigger, can be a frequency just like you saw, but at a much lower gradient. And then, people get irritated. People have road rage anyways, right? There's, so, you know what I mean? And then this generates a collective field also of this particular, resonance, because it's a thing. I mean, you walk into there's certain places you walk into it, you feel this is very uncomfortable, or you feel very welcomed, right? Some of these things are also, there's just types of senses, right? You can describe it other ways, but it is happening, right? On a level to some degree of the actual oscillatory energies. This is, emotions are oscillatory frequencies. They have energies, it's like anything else. Depends. But state of mind, anger, crowd, this is how crowds work, right? This is how birds flying together. So,
right.
so just to say it doesn't, and then one last thing, I'll get back to that, is hypnosis is a whole nother level up. If you have hypnotic command, you can make people run without even using a weapon. You can make people do whatever.
Right. You can make them cluck like a chicken and they don't even remember. Anyway, sorry.
Okay.
Don't forget the footnotes, Hans.
Okay. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Well, I love footnotes. So, okay. Most people are naturally quite skeptical of the notion that someone's thoughts and actions can be controlled by unseen actors, particularly in Western culture, where the idea of free will is firmly indoctrinated. Theories of mind control are inimical to the omnipresent mantra that we are all responsible for our own actions. It is quite likely then that scenarios involving mind-controlled killers, whether assassins like Lee Harvey Oswald or Sirhan Sirhan, or serial killers like Henry Lee Lucas or Charles Manson, will be summarily dismissed by many readers. Skeptics, though, should bear in mind that, contrary to perceptions, mind control is not a fictional creation of novelists and Hollywood screenwriters. To the contrary, there exists a substantial paper trail establishing that the U.S. intelligence community has devoted a vast amount of both human and financial resources over a period of several decades to the study of mind control. Along the way, luminaries of numerous social sciences have been recruited and co-opted.
Can you repeat that sentence?
Along the way, luminaries of numerous social sciences have been recruited and co-opted.
So that's it. So these people think these guys are like the head, like kingpins of this thought. They're not. So all these, really bright guys like Jolly and West, people call him like this evil creature, which it's like a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. He was recruited. Guy's totally brilliant. There's no question about it. Or some of these other people. But
Ewan Cameron was like, he was, the face of the American or the World Psychiatric Association. Like, and people loved him. He was this very, Scotch, whatever, charismatic guy. So all that stuff but it was going on, and obviously people did know about it to some extent. But he was doing. That's pretty amazing. Like, he was a luminary, right? He was like, the top. And now people know him as what he was doing with these horrible experimentations. But
strain all urine. That picture of the kid, like dude. How could he be a hero? Like, he's torturing people.
But no, yeah. But
they were torturing people. They were doing long-term experiments. They were doing like you come back in, Mrs. Wilson, and we'll treat you. And then like massive electroconvulsive shocks. They called it therapy. It's not therapy. and then they'd send them back home and study them in their natural habitat, like freaking like lab rats. So they're not in the lab, they're like walking around. Okay, Miss Wilson, she's exhibiting strange behavior. I think we need to do certain treatments, and then she'll go schizo, or she'll have overly aggressive, or this alter hasn't come in yet. Like, it gets super dark what Cameron was doing.
They would revert back to baby, right? They would depattern their own personality back to being a child again, and then he would repattern them with what he wants them to have in their brain, right?
Supposedly, I mean, it didn't really. I mean, it in terms of exactly what they wanted it to do, it didn't really work that well.
Right.
I mean, you didn't. I mean, they play. I mean, but did it just absolutely destroy people's minds? Yes.
Right. Yeah.
But because it's playing these tapes and pattern conditioning, now they were able to get some types of small memory overlays, but then it would crack, right? And like, I remember the one lady, she was like a very good guitarist, and she went in just for postpartum depression, and everything disappeared, and she came out with a totally new life, but she started to remember. But it's like, I mean, that was just,
Is she the one that wrote the book? I think there was one of his victims wrote a book, a female.
Well, I had one of the victims' daughters come in. Her name was Elizabeth Nixon, so you can listen to that on my podcast. But like, she said her mom put her brain back together. She had to actively, do things, eat well, and repattern her brain. Like, they really
just like after a stroke, right?
Yeah,
after part of your brain is dead, like it has to yeah, dude.
And there was another book called Father, Son, and CIA by Harvey Weinstein. Not that Harvey Weinstein, Dr. Harvey Weinstein, where his father got the treatment too. So there's a lot of stories out there.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll just continue here. About ready to hit that footnote. But that's luminaries, right? And social science. This is also very, very important, right? Social. We don't really think about what social science. This is a whole field with many, many, subsections. So it's important to remember that, we think about all this high tech research and this and that, but a lot of the real sort of understanding stuff was coming from the social science field. Certain social science. But anyways, continuing, detailing all the techniques and procedures that have received attention from the Central Intelligence Agency and its brethren is unfortunately well beyond the scope of this book. Footnote 2, all the following books focus directly or indirectly on CIA's sponsored mind control research, Jose M. Delgado's Physical Control of the Mind, Harper and Row, 1969. Donald Bain, The Control of Candy Jones, Playboy Press, 1976. Walter Boert, Operation Mind Control, Dell Publishing, 1978. Peter Watson, War on the Mind, Hutchinson, 1978. Peter Schrag, Mind Control, Pantheon, 1978. John Marks, The Search for the Manchurian Candidate, Times Books, 1979. Martin Lee and Bruce Shalin, Acid Dreams, Grove Press, 1985. And Gordon Thomas, Journey into Madness, 1989. All these titles contain pieces of the puzzle, but all containing varying amounts of disinformation, as do more recent titles.
That's great right there. Holy crap. All of those books are so important.
Yeah, they really are.
But also varying amounts of disinformation. That's interesting. Little side note. Do you want me to just finish this page, or you guys want? It goes into. I'll just keep going. Okay.
Please, thank you.
Okay. It is possible, however, to provide a rough sketch of what mind control really is. A sketch that will, it is hoped, help demystify a phenomena that is not, as it turns out, nearly so esoteric as it may first appear to be. The basic methodology of mind control was revealed many decades ago by George Estabrooks, a prominent psychologist hypnotist who worked under contract to American intelligence agencies. In his book, Hypnotism, first published in 1943, Estabrooks teased his audience by noting that the intelligent reader will sense that there's much more is withheld than has been told.
Dude, you just cannot, how important McGowan is. Like, he keyed into really the most important person. And that's kind of how far down the road, people are in their MK Ultra mind control studies if they've got to Esterbrook's yet. Because if they haven't got to Esterbrook's, they haven't got the kind of core foundational stuff. At least in the American, you can go to Mesmer or whatever, but yeah.
The fact that you found that document of Esterbrook's and his communications with the FBI, like, holy crap.
35.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing. It rewrites the entire 60s because Hoover's around everything. He's around JFK. He's around MLK. He's around Malcolm X. He's around
and all the pedos,
RFK,
all the pedophiles,
and mafia figures and all this stuff. And he knows all this stuff. He knows Esterbrook's.
Well,
he's intimately involved with Esterbrook's.
I mean, Esterbrook's, there's some of the stuff is explosive. Like the one we went over, Esterbrook's is talking about setting up an experiment, like with a bombing of some factory, right? And then the person, even if, the memory will be erased, even if the factory does get bombed, we can make sure that there's no leakage, from the experiment.
That's exactly what they don't, the dark occult, they want to keep all their secrets occulted, even the victims can't remember what happened. It's perfect for them.
This is amazing because this is kind of like one of those things where they disclose stuff, like in our earlier one where we finished with James Jesus Angleton, like, I'm going to go to hell with all these other guys for all the crimes we did. But this is his kind of like disclosure. There's a lot more to know. I'm just telling you this now, right?
I mean, as governments often work, they only give you this much. There's always a lot more to know.
Just as we go down real quick, we'll finish this thing. Like, so dissociative states. So one thing is interesting, right? You notice, like, say, trauma, people having trauma. That's relatively new that it became very common thing to talk about. But people, I have conversations with people, I just dissociate just the way I am. I do like this, like, whoa, okay. Like just normally talking about this as something that, I do it. And so you're going to some counselor. Okay. Well, you know what? I don't want to go to some damn counselor to tell me what I am doing or not doing and to normalize something, right? That is a type of hypnotic induction, could potentially, you know what I mean? Anyways.
There are a lot of counselors that work for the dark occult that are in the work of keeping the victims in their cage, keeping the secrets from coming out. And the whole satanic panic and the false memory syndrome and all that crap is all the dark occult creating a war against the truth. This is very important.
Yeah,
it really is. It really is.
Yeah, but
now all these people are co-opted. New luminaries are co-opted. Jolly West is right there. The False Memories Foundation or MFS, MF or whatever.
Here's the thing: a dissociative state is not necessarily bad, right? There's types of things, but then what do these words specifically mean? And then, but the thing is that this means that this is very crucial, I think, is to realize that as soon as you recognize you're in a dissociative state, you can change it, right? I'm not. Okay, I'm right here. Oh my God, wait, who am I talking to? Oh, no. Okay.
To see the cage, like when you see the mind control, all of a sudden it doesn't affect your subconscious. Your conscious mind gets a hold of it and can be like figured out and really look at it. You know what I'm saying? Like if we continue to agree with the lie that is, the veil put over us, then our mind will continue to accept the lie, and the cognitive dissonance will be maintained within, and that signal of like what the news gives us in the TV and the all of the movies and crap, it will maintain our blindness to truth. And once we recognize, like people like us speaking it out, like giving others that are listening and their conscious mind the handles to really hold on to this and figure out what's going on. Like, I mean, the whole idea of like Netflix and chill, it's like, put yourself in don't even listen, be engaged in sexual encounter and have that programming going in while you're feeling the feelings. You know what I mean? And then when I watch Netflix, I see that the movies are built for that. The things that they say, and there's certain moments when, this is when the effing happens. And, it's really interesting how they build it to be put in the subconscious, because people aren't watching these movies. They crank out these crap, like,
Well,
you
you
know
know
what I
what?
mean? Go
The
ahead.
thing is that you're right, because the thing is you get these series that, some of them, I mean, like I watched one, it was like the best in the country, the detective, he's a forest officer that's like this hardcore detective dude, and just he's like really surly, but then the ending of it was just like, come on, man, I just wasted
They
my time.
always do that.
And it's
Yep.
like, dude, this is just, come on. I mean, just,
Yep.
and then
They
it's,
drag you down this cul-de-sac where you
oh,
waste all this time just trying to
but,
figure out what they're going to tell you, and then
oh,
at the end it's like an
oh,
empty nothing.
dude, one thing I brought that up, that was just that was a weird mental connection. But this show, I think it's called something Mountain, whatever. It's on Netflix. You can find it. I remember the name. But anyways, this guy, it starts out he's talking to his son all the time. He goes by this lake and he talks to his son. As you go through the series, you find out, well, his son is actually dead. And he had a mental breakdown after his son died. So he's talking to this ghost of his son that is not, but it's not foregrounded, right? It's just there as kind of part of the story. And then he's always thinking about killing himself and this and that. So this is, you watch that, and then the end is some kind of half-ass, or where the guy, the police captain, commits suicide, shoots himself in the head because he was the one who had murdered this person. Like, there you go.
Dude.
There's your
So
little mind control programming it as you assess, and you just wasted your time. But even though there's some great production, but then it's like the poison pill, man.
speaking of poison pill, this very well said. Think about all of the people watching that are on pharmaceuticals, where the side effects is suicidal ideation. And then they watch the TV that says suicide's a great idea. Don't you miss your kid? Oh, this hell that we live is such, you know what I'm saying?
Well, now they have the friggin' ads. That's why I hate it. Like, I'm paying
Yeah.
for it, and then Netflix, like, every second, here's another ad. Here's another ad.
Oh,
Sometimes,
yeah, dude.
unless the movie just sucks ass. But there's a great movie called like Zandox, starring Sean Connery as this dude who's in this giant flying head that
That's
flies.
right.
Zardos.
Zardos.
Zardoz. Yeah.
Zardoz. That's a
Yeah,
great.
yeah,
That's an
yeah,
awesome
yeah,
movie.
yeah.
But no, what I'm saying though is that this, like with these pharmaceutical ads, let's add this as a factor, right? Think about that, yeah, because these ads, like, oh, now, since I got, I got whatever skin condition, I'm feeling shy, my life shut down. Now I'm feeling great, and I'm
Right.
meeting all my friends. It says side effects include paranoia, delusionary thoughts, extreme violence,
Yeah.
lost.
Homicidal ideation. Like, whoa, dude. It's like, holy
And
crap.
then it's like do celebrate life again.
Celebrate. Yeah,
It's like,
dude.
so
Whoa.
how dissociated you have to be not to catch those freaking warnings? But people
Right.
don't, obviously, or else they wouldn't run the ads. But
Yeah.
it gives it double power because the person is deliberately, blocking that out. It's going subconscious, and they know
Right.
exactly what that shit is going to do to them. Yeah, how can you not? But it's
And it's
not
like
gonna,
built with, like, the Prozac is made with like mostly fluoride. The
Yeah, it's
molecule
fluoride.
is fluoride. It's the same shit they've been doing since, the World War II. Before that, with in Russia, with the, like, it is mind control. They knew about pharmaceutical mind control way back then, and they're continuing. Okay, they can't give us fluoride in the water anymore because these, the truth is coming out. Well, that's okay. We'll just convince them to eat it themselves via Prozac, and
They'll be in a fugue state. That's the whole thing. There's no highs and lows. You're just
right.
in like
Yeah.
a easily more hypnotizable state. Hey,
Well-
give them some mind control drugs and sit them in front of a TV and blink at them for like
but
the blink rate's like do 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 do.
well, no, but there is the
blinking
thing.
between ads and stuff. You're just like done. Man.
So we can be, of course,
The
compassionate.
Ludovico method, right?
Yeah, I don't know why people watch TV,
Well,
man.
people
I was
are-
watching a football game yesterday, and I was like, "This is half ads, and they're just flashing lights. It's just totally crazy."
Yeah.
Wow.
Mind control.
This photic driving is the first thing that was studied was strobic effects. Okay, so like Brian Grissom, the Dream Machine, that was just based on this other research on using, again, photic driving, the first research was with flashing lights, right? Different patterns, different rhythms of light, and being able to directly trigger, right? It's the optical cortex with the, light. It has these, what I mean? So this was the initial thing.
Um,
Okay.
Alex Gray promotes a thing where you sit under it and it shines lights at you, blinking lights, and it induces a DMT-like state where there's no drugs, but the light creates that in your brain.
I mean, I built a dream machine, right? I built
Of course you did.
But you know what you do? It's like you take like a turntable, right? And then you put like this thing, this like a tube with like different holes to create a pattern, and then you put a light bulb in it, and then you look at it and you're like, wow,
Nice. Like
that
a
sucks.
little like at a dance, the ball of, what do you call that thing? The mirrored ball, when you shine the lights and it shows little specks of light kind of dancing everywhere.
It makes you. I mean, it does
Disco
put you in a
ball.
trance.
Right,
It
yeah,
can put you into a trance, but to what extent? Also, this is like it's a hypnotic trance. Doesn't mean it's not good or bad to do, but it is. You are, but to think that this is a power. Anyways, go ahead. Warren.
It's
There's
funny.
the dream machine right there. People are watching this. You can see guys sending burrows.
So everyone, like, our ears are one way they can access our brains, and our eyes are another way, and the trauma to our body is another way. Like, these are all access points for them, and we are unaware that's even possible. It's really. And then we have this TV in our house which like shines light at us. Like, what is it? What is it really doing to us?
Yeah. That's how people end their day, with some programming. Go sit
But-
down. It's a science fiction
But TV's
dystopia that people aren't even aware of.
But TV really is extremely highly irritating and basically sucks now. I mean, really, it's like
I agreed.
I mean, it is. It's like work. Like I think, okay, I'm going to relax. I'm going to try to find a movie to watch that doesn't. It's just not garbage.
Yeah,
And it's just like
It's hard.
you're not going to.
it's. I've got a few suggestions for you. Talk to me on the emails.
But dude, almost all the. But here's important to stress: almost all the ads on Netflix are pharmaceuticals. At least whatever I'm watching, it's. And these are like some of them are like 2 minutes and 40 seconds, and these are like infomercials practically.
Yeah, you can't skip. Like, YouTube does these, like, you can't get away from it. Like, you have to click it off in order to not have that programming go in. Like, it's really bad, but they hijack your eyes.
The guy's the nephew of the guy who wrote the book Propaganda, right?
Right, the guy who started Netflix.
Netflix
is the nephew
is Bernays'
of
nephew.
Bernays.
Yeah. So,
Right.
Crazy.
okay,
It just makes sense. It all makes sense. Like, there's no, oh, that's weird. Like, if you really ever look into everything always makes sense. And it always comes down to controlling people.
Control and mind control.
Yes.
Okay.
Dude, they just bought TikTok so they could just zap people with whatever. Like,
Oh, right.
they're gonna mind control whatever. Who knows what's going on with TikTok now?
Dude.
Ugh.
Look at what the Tide Pods and the challenges that the kids do.
Oh yeah,
Dude, they see, like, there's like, and it comes into their feed. They don't
Right.
choose it. It just shows up. And there's like videos of teenagers laughing, ha ha ha. And then there's 3 of them on the video, and the 2 outside jump, or the 2 on either side. There's like 3 in a row, and the 2 on the right and left jump, and then they land, and then the one in the middle jumps, and then the ones on the outside kick his legs out, and his head hits the ground. Kids are like, they're brain dead because of this TikTok challenge. There's another one where, cover yourself in lighter fluid and light yourself on fire. It's not just Tide Pods. It's a whole array. There's like 100 of them, more of like, are you daring enough to do this on camera? And that goes right back to the same shit. 764, like what BX was talking about with William. Like, these people, these satanic individuals are convincing children to cut themselves, harm themselves on camera. And then they take that video and they trade it with their friend psychopaths. Like, look at what I made this one do. Like, I made her carve my name into her belly. And just to, dude, the sick levels. Holy, I'm sorry, guys. It's gross, but still, like, whoa.
Yeah. I didn't know that, and I kind of wish I didn't, but I do now.
Sorry, man.
No, it's no. I mean, it's important. I mean,
the kids see the people laughing and they're like, "Ha, that's funny. I guess I'll try that." And then it happens.
anyways, this is important the way he's going to define a dissociative state. So I'll just continue this and then probably dive in. So I'll read that again. Estabrooks teased his audience by noting that the intelligent reader will sense that much more is withheld than has been told. While this was undoubtedly an accurate assessment, Estabrooks nevertheless did reveal enough to allow an informed reader to construct a reasonably accurate picture of the fundamentals of mind control. The degree to which any given person is susceptible to mind control is a direct function of that person's susceptibility to what are known as dissociative states. According to the psychiatric community, dissociative states or dissociative disorders include amnesia, fugue state, and what used to be called multiple personality disorder, but is now generally referred to as dissociative identity disorder. This is interesting, right? That shift. Anyways, all of these terms describe the same basic phenomena. A person who is seemingly in control of his or her actions over a given time period is unable at a later date to recall or account for those actions. Do you want me to keep going?
1 second. The ability of the children. So they seek out. He's saying that the mind controllers seek out people that are more susceptible to dissociation.
But remember, dissociation, like people, this is a misuse. People say, "Oh, I'm dissociating." No, what you're doing is you're spacing out. Right? You're spacing out. You're
right.
Like, but that's 1 degree though. That's a degree. But this is, as maybe the actual definition is where you just have, as William said, very important, right? Lost time, lost,
right?
Whole lost chunks. Is that? Would you agree with that, William? Or
100%. Yeah, totally agree.
I just wanted to say that the SRA programmers. Like the dissociation from the victim is so intense, and that's the perfect dissociation that they get from people like Alice and Eyes Wide Shut or whatever, Perfect Slave, and that right there epigenetically programs her genetics to make a baby that is more apt to dissociate. It is it's a survival mechanism of our genetics to, like, there's fight, flight, or freeze, right? That's how you save yourself. And so freeze is the one they want, and so freeze allows them to do what they want with your body or whatever. So like if you're getting attacked by a bear, if you try to fight back, it will really kill you hard. But if you act like you're dead, the bear gets disinterested, okay, and you don't get wounded as much. So it is a way of survival for your body to freeze, so that can be programmed into the offspring of the monarch programmed mother. And so that's why they take the children of the monarch programmed women and they breed them for this purpose, to have babies that will grow up that are immediately already programmed by their genetics to easily dissociate, because that is a genetic trait that can be triggered through epigenetics.
Wow.
So that, I mean, if you it narrows down their pool. They don't have to look through the whole everybody and see who's dissociative. They've already got a stable of women that they can just breed them, and they will understand that each baby will be dissociative. They don't have to go find new ones, because they can program it into. And they torture the baby in the uterus before it even gets born. So that also programs the child to have learned helplessness and to freeze,
It's
Sorry, guys, I make you speechless.
well,
There.
no. We'll just go to the next paragraph, but this will tie in directly because actually, what that in an extreme sense is just you have the startle reflex going all the time, right? So that's that's a reflex, and that can be if that's not if that's going a lot, right? It's going to be happening in your body. Maybe you're not even aware of it. That's it. Anyways, so that's an example of something that can be more extreme as mild. Is it? So let's continue. So as with any category of mental illness, there's no dividing line that separates those who are diagnosed with dissociative disorders from those who are normal. Virtually everyone possesses the ability to experience dissociative states. Many people, for example, are familiar with the phenomena sometimes referred to as driving on autopilot. The scenario generally plays out as follows. You suddenly snap out of it just as you're pulling into your parking space at work and you realize to your horror that you can't remember anything since leaving your house. If this has happened to you, then you have experienced being in a dissociative state. In essence, you drove to work while in a fugue state and you later had amnesia. In a similar vein, it could be said that an alter personality, which you had no conscious awareness of, drove you to work. In any case, it is clear that someone piloted your car to work in a safe and reasonable manner. It was someone other than you.
I just wanted to bring up also for the normal people out there, their shadow self, the idea of the shadow and this unconscious, that's what takes over when you go into that state driving, just want to say that. So like your shadow self is almost like another you, in that way when you think about it.
But again, you can do things, you let your unconscious can completely take care of it. So in a sense, you can just be present with what you're doing, right, and just realize that, you know what I mean? We do it all the time anyways, but if you're going to,
sometimes like when there's like an emotional thing that triggers you,
you just, and then people go, they drive and they don't even know they're driving. Absolutely.
Or that, like, I mean, like, so, I mean, I like when I first started talking about circumcision on my show, like I was triggered and I couldn't talk. My fingers would get like physically, I felt a change in my body. I had to stop talking and walk away because like my body was reacting. And so like, that is like my shadow is taking over and being like, nope. And I understand that if I'm like angry and getting in an argument, my shadow self pops out and I have no control over the things I say sometimes, like I'm yelling at people I love or, so like, this is another way that things can take over like a normal person's mind, considering you consider me normal. I don't know, but this is another way that regular people can experience like that losing of control, and the unconscious self takes control. And a lot of times violence is protecting, the core of like, oh, I don't want to talk about that, or oh, that harms me emotionally. And it's just like, it protecting the self, I guess. Like anyway, I'm just saying it's not like a specific altered personality programmed, but it is like a mild form of the reaction that a normal human brain has.
Well, no, yeah, I mean, you can see that with people say, people always say like, someone drinks and then their personality changes to become this total. And that's like experiencing an, I mean, it is like an alter. It's not, it's still the same person. It's not that extent, but it is like they go into a different thing. And then anything, it's almost just get out of that person's orbit right now. You know what I mean? Unless you want, what I mean? Like some people are like that. You need to like, okay, I'm just going to step back from this because it's not necessary for me.
That's why we all got to do the shadow work to control that, so that people won't be walking away from us and trying to like, stay away from our craziness, that way. Anyway, we can have the presence of mind to be in the now and to control ourselves completely. This is great. I'm sorry I keep derailing this, but
we're going to have to break the intro to this into two parts because we've only got 3 pages in. There's 9 pages to go, guys. That's okay with me. That's okay
this intro. The intro, that's the intros. I'll tell you the truth. I watched those YouTube things on Dave McGowan, And I mean, on Program to Kill, and they were just excerpts. Looking at this book, this is the first time I actually looked at the actual book. It's quite comprehensive. He did a huge amount of research on this, which I really wasn't aware of in terms of this stuff, right? I mean,
This is like his primary book. The Hollywood one is just sidereal to this, I think.
I think you're right.
I agree with you. Yeah, I think that's because when I looked at that stuff, and I didn't realize this was so. It's very talented. All right,
It'll be in the top 10 most important parapolitical books ever written, up there with Operation Mind Control and Search for the Manchurian Candidate. To me, there's no question. Should be in everybody's top 10.
Yeah, so I'm very glad that you brought it today, William. I thought we were going to talk about the Estabrooks. This is great. I'm glad we're doing
I think that this is like a primer. So it's like
it's totally
priming for the Estabrooks. Like, if we looked at Estabrooks alone, they may not understand where he's coming from. Estabrooks he's unraveling what he knows to Hoover. And so that's important. But this is like, here you go. This is a guy who's aggregated this and made it understandable.
And also before I don't think he didn't have access to those documents, right? That Estabrooks thing was not released
until like
2017.
Recently. Yeah, 17.
So
so like we were joking, like I was thinking of the show, and Sean's like the guy like has his Cheetos on his fingers and doing stuff like it's the key document, man. This 500-page document is just absolutely incredible. I've said it before. I'll just keep saying it again.
I just want to tell the listeners, if they are interested in downloading the document, they can go to my Odyssey channel, odyssey.com, Wake the Dead :9, I think is the. But anyway, when you will find a post there where you can download the document for free, just click download. So for everybody.
Yeah, and I do want to say that this as painful as it is to really encounter some of these things and think, man, this is really that what you're describing of this self-harm stuff or these challenges and stuff. Like, I'm going to use a Husserl. I kind of want to bracket that because that directly, I mean, shows the impact of this level of high, which, get into further on is, not just like, okay, you space out, you get angry or whatever, but like the deep level stuff. But the stuff that's happening online is an example of like aggregate, right? Grouping, psychological groupings. I mean, lots of people that are going into these, you have to be very extremely out of it to do this stuff. You can't. How could you cannot? You're repressing your basic survival instincts. You know what I mean? On a fucking biological level. Sorry to swear. So, but this is the ground. This is the ground where things like that can also, arise from.
Yeah, Full Metal Jacket is another movie that people should know about, with the programming of the mind on the regular youth to make them killers. That's what that movie is. And just holy crap, like the guy in the helicopter at exactly 1 hour, he's like shooting at the helicopter. I got 150 confirmed kills and 50 buffalo. Those are all confirmed. I'm so good. Like, that's the epitome of what they wanted. What the mind control was creating out of these youth was total psychopath.
That's why there's boot camp. People may not know, they put people in World War I, and they found out some of the guys would go to the front and not shoot. So they studied, why are they going to the front and not shooting? And they weren't primed to kill yet. So that's why there's boot camp, is to totally dehumanize them and turn them into killers.
Right. And it starts with Mickey Mouse, and they all sing the Mickey Mouse Club song, the programming from the TV. And sorry, but anyway, it's all programming, the whole thing.
Well, think about all those shows. Like, I mean, this is where, like, if you go back to when you were a little kid, right? Whatever, like little kids, like Barney the dinosaur, the purple dinosaur dude.
Yeah.
I think I've got an emotional connection with Barney, man. Oh my God. Okay. But no, this is, these are impacts and influences. And I'll go ahead and if you don't mind, I'll just read these next two paragraphs. I think it'll exactly tie into what both of you just mentioned. So, just continuing, many people are also familiar with another common example of a dissociated state. You are deep in thought, oblivious to everything around you, possibly working on the solution to one of the world's great mysteries, when suddenly your silent meditation is interrupted, perhaps by an unexpected noise or by someone calling your name or tapping your shoulder. As you snap out of it, you suddenly realize, much to your dismay, that you cannot remember what it was that you were so deep in thought about just moments before. It kind of reminds me of being married. No, I'm just kidding. If you ever had a similar experience, or if you are familiar with the dreamlike state that some people attain just before falling asleep or while engrossed in a book or television program, then you have experienced being in a dissociative state of consciousness. Well, the ability to dissociate is likely universal or nearly so. Some people are clearly more susceptible to dissociative states than are others. There's little question that someone's innate ability to dissociate can be greatly enhanced, although not necessarily by ethical means. The most severe of the dissociative disorders, MPD, DID, is in almost all cases created by psychological trauma so severe that the traumatic episode or episodes cannot be integrated into the experience of the core personality. By far the most common cause of MPD is early childhood trauma, usually but not always resulting from the horrific abuse by a parent or other adult guardian. Dr. Frank Putnam noted in 1989 that he was struck by the quality of extreme sadism that is reported by most MPD victims. Many multiples have told me of being sexually abused by groups of people, of being forced into prostitution by family members, or being offered as sexual enticement to their mother's boyfriends. After one has worked with a number of MPD patients, it becomes obvious that severe, sustained, and repetitive child abuse is a major element in the creation of MPD. End quote. Dr. Deidre Barrett, writing in 2001 for Psychology Today, offered a similar observation. Quote, dissociators have the following traits in common. Many subjects reported a history of child abuse. Although some remembered this directly, some had been told by others that they had been battered. Other dissociators who had not been abused had suffered childhood trauma, such as prolonged, painful medical conditions, and before the age of 10 experienced the death of their parents.
So, like that whole thing, sex before 8 or it's too late, the pedos talk about, that's because before you're 7, you're in the hypnagogic trance and you're like programmable, and they're programming your subconscious up to then. And so the experiencers of that child abuse, like if you read Kathy O'Brien, her dad was found by the government sending video, or I don't know, film, I guess, of him like raping his daughter and selling it, the porno, and he was shipping it through the mail. And the government found him and said, okay, you can either go to jail or you can work for us. And so obviously he took the latter. And so then now she becomes government property, basically. And that happened with my friend Carrie Olahe. She, her dad was a total psychopath who was into very gross, disgusting pornography. And he was promoted basically by his military higher ups. And by giving his child, it's allowing for the promotion, So this is another way that they find dissociative youths, is by it's a big trap. The government just takes all the pedos. Look at Denny Hastert was abusing kid. He was like
For decades, like half a century.
They found him at a school, and he was like abusing. He was the gym teacher,
the wrestling coach, right?
Wrestling,
so he was like rolling around with dudes.
God,
Let's make you Speaker of the House, Wonder Bush. Great.
Yeah, right. We got
You'll
a
do
job
whatever
for
you
you.
say. Yeah, I got
Right.
a great job. You get paid.
Just like at the end of
money under the table, some boys too.
Right.
Like you're
right.
You're golden.
And then like now once he is totally blackmailed, then they can tell him anything, and he says, "Okay, boss," and that's the government, But really, that the way that the first handler is the parent that rapes, and then when they
goes back to Manchurian Candidate, right?
Yes,
the handler of Raymond is the rapist of Raymond.
Yes.
And it's kind of intimated that she's raping. I mean, she rapes him in the book, but that it's carrying on the intergenerational thing. Daddy,
yes.
Now she's the daddy.
She remembers her grandfather.
Right.
She does in some of those in the Manchurian Candidate book, right? She
so
flashes,
she was abused too, right?
But it's very vague, like kind of blends in, but it's there, right? She has his memories.
Oh no, it's overt in the book.
Okay, well, that's what I mean. In the book is
the
overt.
Attic, right?
In the attic, the attic, and that's like the
right. And the carousel's mentioned in the book, all this stuff,
right?
Yeah.
And so the first abuser handler is given instructions by the higher up, like Julius William Gates would tell Frank Olahe how to program his daughter and what to use for the symbolism. Like he would have all these unicorns in the house and stuff, all that stuff. Program the whole way since baby, yes, all the symbology and then she would be told, "Oh, you're a Habsburg unicorn, and you have and she would be programmed with this cult loyal personalities inside, but then some of those cult loyal personalities are an exact replica of the abuser. So she has the abuser in her head, and that abuser is her dad. And so when she goes to the first time that she was at the trying to understand why she's having fugue states and can't remember, and then the what bubbles out first is the incest, and a lot of times they go that far and they're like, "Oh, we found it," but if you dig further, Carrie continued to dig and she found that she was programmed to be a wolf, not even human. There's way deeper shit, but the incest is oh, that's enough, that'll cause it. And then all the psychological doctors are like, "Okay, let's work with the incest, and this is why, and okay, that explains everything." And that they're occults the further deeper crap. So some of the victims, they get to that incest and they stop, and that's, "Oh yeah, the programmer was my dad," and "Oh yeah," and then all the other stuff is gone. So.
When I was in college, I've told this story before, but I was in college. I met a girl. I'm not going to say her name, but it's basically mountain. She was from the Children of God, and they had a house in East Bay and in Oakland, and all the Children of God were there. And I was in, it's kind of granola in Northern California, a lot of health food stores and stuff like that. But she was friends with a friend, and we were. I was at that house. It was weird. But then, I would hang out with her, and she would literally forget stuff and amnesic things, and then she would switch personalities. I didn't know what to do. I was too young, 19 or 20, but I was literally watching this person. I'm like, "Hey, Dave, something's going on here." And then I realized Children of God, Berg, same thing as River Phoenix. These kids are being raped and incest. But now that I know these kind of states and MPD and trauma, she was definitely abused and tampered with. So I think that's the Children of God probably has even deeper, they're notorious for incest and stuff like that, but they maybe have some kind of intel connections, much like Scientology, and they integrated some of this stuff in there where they're literally fracturing little kids' brains, giving she was dissociating in front of my face. I was I didn't know these terms. I'm like, wow, this is really weird. What, didn't you just tell me that you wanted to go get, to the restaurant? And she's like, what? And I was like, this is so weird.
Right.
And I actually, at a certain point, I was like, Dave, you got to just drive her home. Like, I don't know what to do with this. I don't know how to respond to this person. She's not
If you
acting
were
normal.
if you were a psychopath in the cult, you'd be like, "Ooh, fresh meat." You know what I mean?
You
I can
probably
use
know
that.
the trigger words or whatever.
Yeah.
They're encouraged to like sleep around and like, it was like, it's like pansexual. Those children of God really was. And like
Yeah, the
flirty
flirty
fishing.
fishing,
Yeah.
right?
And
Prostitution for Jesus, right?
it's so weird
Just
looking
like the
back.
Inanna cults, you know, the ancient prostitutes of the church, right?
The Northern California had these cults all over the place, like Scientology and
How about
Children of
Buddhafield?
God, just everything. It was
Buddhafield is
really
Buddhafield is one of my favorites because that guy, he was, I think he was, I don't know, from Puerto Rico, but very handsome. Had been a professional dancer, like, ballet dancer, super fit guy, but he created this group cult. Had very, lots and lots of money. They built all these centers, and he would just be there. He just wearing a Speedo. He's giving
was
he's
that the guy who ended up in Austin?
yeah, and then
'Cause that's where the comedy mothership is now. It was in one of his places. Like they took over an old cult place.
I mean, they did stuff like
It was the Speedo dude. He liked dudes though. He was gay, right?
no, but he would do this stuff. He was so like he was like he was like but I mean they built this whole theater because he wrote there's an opera, right? Because he knew classical music, he had been a professional dancer, he'd been an actor. I mean, he wasn't gonna make it, necessarily, but it was, whatever. But they built the whole theater. They did this opera. It took like 5 years, and then they did the opera, and that was it. Done. Okay, that's it. Never performed again. We just move on. But yeah, he would just rock. He would be there giving initiations and just on this throne and just rocking the Speedo, man. And it's just like, I mean, I don't know. It's just funny.
That's how they get you.
That's a red flag. But no, I mean, people though, there's other elements going. He's still going. He's in Hawaii. He's got a whole new group. And there's all kinds of allegations and this and that. I mean, it got pretty messed up, dark. Anyways,
Jamie
No wonder-
Gomez, was that his name?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is it. He was a hypnotist too. Duh.
Oh yeah, he would. Oh yeah, I forgot to say. You get called. They had this auditorium thing, right? And you get called before him. Sometimes there'd be other people there. Sometimes it would just be you. And these would be these hypnotic conditioning sessions. Wow. And he would give group and individual. They were called like check in, like check into God or check into whatever. But they're all like beautiful people, hot, wealthy, elite kids, and they would just, but it's pretty wild, man. He had hypnotic sessions. I mean, he would have just some really almost like Manchurian candidate type of shit,
Wow. Rogan, it's about this new dude's name, Jamie Gomez. He was a gay porn star and a hypnotist, and he started a club. He was teaching people yoga and got a bunch of young disciples. They believe he was a guru and he was God energy. Wow. Yes.
No, he started it was a very big thing with massive legal repercussions. It wasn't just some,
And he was opening their third eye with the whole thing of the Ace of Swords that we were talking about, the Crowley card. Like, I'm sure he was opening their third eye by buggering them and dominating them and satanizing them with satanification. Like the whole thing, like some of those kids and the ritual stuff, they think that demons are entering them through the semen of the rapist. So like, there's some really gross shit. Sorry guys, I'm really a Debbie Downer today.
It's all good. Let's go. Let me see if I can find this.
This is fun.
Let me bring that back up. Stop. Let me see if I can find the video where he talks about the gay dude, Jamie Gomez.
I'm very glad that we are allowed to take so much time, William, instead of you rushing and trying to get it all. Like I like having the open-ended, just letting it go and being able to continue, like just because every paragraph of this is like, holy crap, we got to say something. It's like, thank you.
Dude, McGowan, his reputation is only going to increase over time. So it's just like he got it.
Dude, I had no idea like this one, because there's stuff you get to, and it's good, right? It's well, but this is like comprehensive. You know what I mean? But also. we'll see like what unfolds in this. But it's kind of the weird thing is it's kind of foreshadowing what we're talking. Unless you guys are like reading ahead, but we were talking earlier about the fight or flight, right? So let's continue with the intro.
2004. That's when the book was published.
Yeah. As mental health professionals have long recognized, the normal human reaction to highly stressful situations is what is known as the fight or flight response. Children, however, typically lack the ability to either fight off or flee from their attackers and abusers. This is particularly true, of course, for very young children. The human brain, that wonderfully resilient organ, therefore reacts in the best way it can under such circumstances. It allows the child to mentally flee from the situation. When the abuse is of an extreme and sustained nature, the brain's response is to build a virtual wall around the traumatic experiences by creating a separate and distinct alter personality to deal with current and future episodes of abuse.
So the term over the rainbow is when the victim's soul pops out because it can't handle. So that's like an extreme version of the freeze, where the body is fully separated from consciousness, does not even feel it anymore. Like Bryce Taylor was burned on her vagina by Richard Nixon with a cigar in front of people. He was showing how amazing it is that she doesn't even flinch. She doesn't feel that because she's programmed not to. So like, I'm not going to get into how she's programmed, but it was very sick abuse. And so like that other alter comes up and like takes the pain, and the main self pops out, but really, and this is the whole soul separates from the body. So the term of going over the rainbow is related to the SRA programming and the trauma-based mind control, and the Wizard of Oz is one of the scripts that they use for the layering of the internal worlds of the victims and so on.
That's what Chapman had when he would do his own little altar. He would have Catcher in the Rye and a picture of the Wizard of Oz. Like, it's just so crazy.
Oh my God. I didn't know about that one.
You didn't know that? Oh,
no,
man,
the Wizard of Oz on his altar. Holy crap.
Yeah, you didn't know that? Let me see if I can find
it.
Yeah, that's very.
It's next level, dude. I mean, the Wizard of Oz is it was written by what is it? Was that one Dodgson? No, that was Alice in Wonderland was Dodgson. And Dodgson.
No, it was
Lewis Carroll is Charles Dodgson, and he took
Frank Baum.
Right. Okay. And he was part of the British infiltration of American minds, like to try to get us into war and shit. But the other one, Alice in Wonderland, is just
he was in Blavatsky's group. I forgot what it was.
Oh, Theosophy.
Yeah.
Oh man, that figures. But okay, so like, well, I'll just step out here. I'll just leave it there. I don't mean to keep talking.
Oh, I can keep going.
Yeah, please.
Okay. So I think I was, although...
Are we at the right spot? Yeah.
Although MPD, DID is a disorder, listed in the DSM-4. So just edit that, man. I said the wrong Roman numeral. No, okay. So
the DSM-4 is its own programming. Holy crap.
The DSM...
doctors. But
the DSM is a very odd book. You know what I mean?
They tried to say that pedophilia is good. They said it was natural, and then they went back and scrubbed that, made it bad again. Like it's pushing society. It's like Kinsey. It's like it's pushing the Overton window of what's acceptable and understood, and people are given these names of just symptoms.
Well, transgender. I mean, if technically before, if you're gonna go, get us. If you think you're a cat or think you're like, I mean, like this is like pretty. You may have a few issues. you may have a few issues. And the
You might.
DSM,
I don't
the
know.
DSM is what allows for children to get surgery without consent
Right.
of their parents. That is the
Right.
fundamental level that this as legislative.
Totally. It makes
So-
it law, and it makes it okay. And then the gears of government are working, then like Obama's or what's his name, the Sleepy Joe, his military pays for transgender surgeries of the soldiers in the army, giving them free breast implants and like what so once the gears of government are churning, then they get it all happening. Like with circumcision, it's routine because it's paid for by the insurance companies. Like nobody would pay for that, but then when it's paid for already, and when it's already in the gears, it's already going, it's easy to just say, okay, yeah, okay. And then, without the informed consent, all of the occultation of the truth that allows for, the churning of the wheel and just the grinding of the bodies. All right, sorry guys.
I can't find this picture.
Okay,
I'll
I'll
wizard
continue.
on.
Variable. We almost made it through a whole sentence. No, I'm just kidding. No, that's true. The DSM is so important. So, the veritable Bible of the psychiatric movement, the public generally looks upon the notion of multiple personality with a healthy dose of skepticism. A skepticism encouraged by a news and entertainment media apparatus that generally mocks and ridicules the condition, and by a not insignificant number of psychologists and psychiatrists who deny the existence of MPD-DID. Strangely enough, many of those most visible and vocal members of the denial crowd tend to be psychologists and psychiatrists who have received funding from the CIA.
Interesting, Matt. So that's, just like the false memory syndrome thing that I mentioned earlier, that whole like trust the science, it's the more 9 out of 10 doctors agree, okay.
The thing is that a lot of the stuff, the false memory, well, you find out that there was physical evidence. Even with that the McMartin school thing, right? There was physical evidence. I mean, there were underground tunnels,
right?
With
the
shrines.
Mickey Mouse bag under the ground,
and they're acting. Right. And this is touted out as the biggest fraud, right? This is touted out as the epitome of the satanic panic, right? This is the big and there are all these. They have all these movies coming out of fictional accounts, sometimes directly
on Netflix.
Yeah,
right. One of the cover up was Oliver Stone wrote one.
Yeah.
It was in.
It's like
what's he doing directing this movie?
It's like these fanatical.
Good question, William. What's he doing? That's a good question, because he did the JFK one too, and then we keep, what?
Kind of an interesting hang up, like JFK.
Interesting.
Doesn't talk about the military too much.
Right.
Look, and are there things where there really isn't that much evidence? Like people create a big thing about nothing. Yeah, right. Not in the McMartin case, man. You know what I mean?
Like, there were 2 trials. Like there were 2. The first trial, I think there were convictions, if I remember. I have to go back and look through it.
But
and then when you dig into that and really understand the guy that's at the podium talking about the truth of McMartin,
Ted Gunderson.
Ted Gunderson, turns out you learn that he was on the phone with Michael Aquino every day. What?
I mean, I wonder, is that so that, because I go on the fence. I got a lot of some of his documentation, but I've heard like some people that very directly say this guy is really dirt. You know what I mean? Like he has did this,
right.
and stuff. And then there's a counter argument to all that. Right.
Right.
So I don't, but that, I mean, is that?
But I mean, what is
Aquino
was doing? Aquino was doing mind control for the military, in Vietnam, like just like the same stuff that's being talked about here. These, he would write the memos for the government, like this is how you do it, and they had programs orchestrated by him that were the sound of ghosts on the battlefield to like scare the enemy and shit, like to create fear and that type of shit. So the Temple of Set is just like a don't look here. It's like a blocks everybody from looking past into his government stuff, because if he's just if he acts like LaVey and he's just a crank on Oprah with his silly eyebrows, nobody's going to take him seriously. And oh yeah, and then people accuse him of the Presidio stuff. Oh yeah, well that's just because I was on Oprah and I've got a face, and they false memories, guys. And so like it creates the loop of that's not true, maybe question, I don't know. And meanwhile he's like collecting Nazi memorabilia and doing like dark ritual and Webelsberg Castle or whatever. Yeah, like
Yeah. I mean, the one thing I just want to say though, I mean, there have been instances of things that were maybe overblown that did this, but the McMartin thing, just seeing how that has become again the epitome, the touchstone of this is example of what can happen to you. You can become like one of these people, creating and destroying lives and creating this panic over nothing, and then programming. And now we have it in the DSM that none of it happened because it says it's a false memory. So
trust the science. Trust the science.
but I mean, but that things like there was a freaking satanic temple underneath the goddamn school.
Yeah,
like,
dude.
You can't. There was not. It's not something like they didn't just come in there with a like a Hollywood set company and let's build a quick. We got to build these tunnels, man. We got one day. It's got to look good.
Remember
some
what
chickens.
Remember what they did with the new thing with the P gate. I don't know if we're on YouTube right now. I'm on YouTube, I guess. I don't want to, but the PIZZA gate thing, everybody says it's debunked. What?
Right.
What are you talking about? Debunked? What? Like
it's actually worse now that they know who all those people are. Like Kamala Harris's sister's there, and all these other like horrible people. Like they covered that up. But it's interesting you guys bring up all the McMartin, because once we get through this whole introduction, there's Eberly. He brings up Eberly, false memories. Was it FMSF or whatever it was? So he's on point, man. He knew that he knew that McMartin was real. Like that's the whole thing about how consistent McGowan is, because he doesn't fall for a lot of this claptrap, this propaganda stuff. Like he's like, people are creepy, dude. Like he knew it. Like he was so solid.
He digs up the documents.
Solid. Yeah.
So
look at the finders, dude. The finders just disappeared, right? I mean, this shit.
Right.
What happened?
Debunked, whatever. Yeah.
No, they're still out there. They're still
yeah.
Friends of Animal Society. But I mean, the finders. That was like
they were taking apart goats. The children were having.
It was a huge network too. A lot of sophisticated people were in
the trauma of the children. It's like, how do you traumatize them? Oh, the bloody goat, like
oh man.
So
it's so dark, man. So
just
anyway, this is the picture of Chapman. He bought like a postcard with the wizard, and then
may I say about that picture? Just
sure.
So like the idea of the little girl and these other characters, those are the altars. Okay, the courage comes out when she needs courage. The brain comes out when she needs a brain, and the Toto is her shadow self. That's like her subconscious, and like anyway, so like when she is in need, when she's on this adventure and she like needs courage, like the other self can pop up, like, and kids that are familiar with their other selves and the other selves can communicate inside. There was a movie with I forget what it was, but there was like a motel with all these different rooms, and this murderer was killing everybody in the rooms, and it turns out those were all the other personalities, and the murderer self killed off all the other personalities inside this dude's head. That's what it was about. I forget. It had John Cusack, and he was like the murderer guy. And we would think it's a real motel or whatever. But anyway, there is communication in the head between the selves, and that is what is being expressed here. And it's a perfect tool for for the programmers to use that as the scaffolding of the internal worlds.
They have all the masks, right? If they have the faces are almost similar. They all have the same face with a mask.
Right.
That's just pretty trippy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So yeah, and the lion and the Tin Man, and that, you know, the lion is like the British, like, anyway, and the Habsburgs, and the Tin Man is like in industry, and you know, straw. It can go pretty deep with the other metaphors and other allegory, but the idea of a little girl who needs these other selves to keep her protected on her journey, you know, that's what's going on there.
Levi says, thank you, William, Hans, and Sean, for an informative presentation. Thank you.
It's my pleasure.
Where are we? Did we get past the CIA, or did you get to the Melbourne?
No, we made it to yeah, it just right. There's one more paragraph on that page.
We should call Guinness Book, I think. This is like, you know, it takes just as many times to get through this. It'll take about just as much time it took Kubrick to film Eyes Wide Shut. I think we might get to it by the end of next year. Yeah.
Well,
There's a lot to talk about. I mean, the thing is, like,
this is great. I love it.
Thank you. Down, man.
So this is what's interesting is that I think you just summarize the next paragraph and let's read it. But so this is a study in Sydney, Australia, and basically they wanted to see if it's real or not, and they had actors, you know, acting like they're suffering, you know, multiple personalities, and people that actually had that, there were distinct changes in the brain that shows they weren't acting. So, and then, so we can. There's the next page. So does all of this.
We're at the 1 hour, 50-minute mark, guys. So
yeah. So
please, William, tell us where we can find your work and your books.
Yeah, you can go to William Ramsey Investigates, my podcast. I've got 5 books on Amazon. Actually, I have 6 books. I have a smaller book that I wrote called Aleister Crowley, A Visual Study, for $5 if you want to see a bunch of pictures of Aleister Crowley. And then I've got 5 documentaries on my Patreon. So you can check out my Patreon. I post a lot of stuff there, so you don't have to watch the stuff with ads or anything on my Patreon. And that's about it.
Thank you.
I don't know when you have. I mean, I'm not saying we have to wrap it up. I'm just saying we're
okay.
near the 2-hour mark.
I got another hour before I have to cut it.
Okay. So. I do have to let the dog out. But,
all right. He's got to hide in his bathtub. It's all right.
No, I got to let the dog out, man.
Right.
But, how much far longer do you guys want to go?
I mean, it's kind of a good. The truth be told, we could keep going for a while. I think it's kind of a good
spot to stop. Okay.
Closure point. I mean, I could keep going all day, but you know, it's. No, I mean, no,
God bless you, Hans. That's great. We should. That's why we are blessed. That's why we want to have your voice here with us, because you can talk about this. This is the best.
We have 7 more pages. We got through 3 pages, I think. 3 full pages.
I mean, if you want to just, you guys want to read, go. You just want to keep going. That's fine. I'll just let the dog out. I'll be there. You can.
I mean, whatever. I mean, I could probably go another half an hour. I know Sean's got to go to work.
Sean, you muted.
Oh, I got another hour before 2 o'clock is my real cutoff. So we're at 1 right now. So
okay. Well, Sean, why don't you go ahead if you want to take over the reading, or William, would you like to read?
So where were we exactly? Top of this page?
I think that we're at the top of page.
Yeah. So how does
all this relate?
Yep, all right, I got
that's
it.
Where we are. Yep. Okay.
So how does all of this relate to the concept of mind control? In the simplest possible terms, what the term mind control refers to is the process of first enhancing an unwitting subject's natural ability to dissociate, in parentheses, creating, in essence, the condition of multiple personality disorder, and then controlling that subject's dissociative states by creating one or more alter personalities that are effectively under the control of others, and that are unknown to the core personality. So that's the basis of SRA right there. And he says it so well in just a couple sentences. Do you have anything to say?
Right. Unknown. It's just unknown.
Okay.
Yeah. Goes back to this whole thing. I mean, Manchurian Candidate's the theme. That's what that statement by Dr. Yen Lo is. Like it's a perfect weapon. It doesn't even know. He's going to be amnesia.
Right. They don't even know that they are smoking cow dung. Right. So, okay. But can this really be done? Is mind control a real phenomenon or merely the product of the fertile imaginations of various conspiracy theorists and self-described survivors? The answer to that question lies in the answers to several other questions, beginning with, do dissociative states occur naturally in the human species? As anyone who has ever driven their car to work on autopilot or been caught daydreaming or spacing out can testify, the answer is yes. Although the vast majority of people would not normally use the term dissociative state to describe the experience. Next question. Can the naturally occurring ability to dissociate be enhanced? The answer here also appears to be yes, albeit with the caveat that enhancing that ability generally requires the infliction of severe trauma, preferably during the vulnerable childhood years. This is great. Yeah. Next question. Would the CIA and other U.S. intelligence agencies be restrained morally or ethically from inflicting such trauma?
No, all
Yeah.
caps, no.
Big question there. Yeah. Well said, William. Do you want to talk on that for a minute?
No, but I mean, it's just like his line of thought. It just like
exactly.
Just give credit to massive props to Dave McGowan.
Right. The government obviously doesn't have any moral qualms in doing it. Like we see it time and time again. You know?
Yeah, it's proven they don't.
How this question is answered depends largely upon the individual reader's political orientation, the mind control that they have, and level of awareness of national and world events. So the level of awareness of their own programming, right? Serious students of covert operations know that the CIA has a long and very sordid history of sponsoring countless assassinations, civilian massacres, violent coups, and barbaric torture / interrogation centers, parentheses, and that is just the short list.
So true.
This bloody and very well documented, see William Bloom's Killing Hope, Common Courage Press, 1995, for a detailed look at some of what the intelligence community really does with your tax dollars. The record suggests that there is little, if any, that the CIA will not attempt to justify in the name of national security. Documents released through FOIA requests have revealed that, at the very least, the agency has not shied away from funding and sponsoring studies in which very young children have been dosed with LSD continuously for several weeks.
Incredible.
Welcome back, Hans. I'll keep going. The next question. If we accept that dissociation is a real and naturally occurring human ability, and that the tendency to dissociate can be enhanced, and that the intelligence community's hands are not tied by ethical concerns, then the final and most critical question becomes, can enhanced dissociative states, once created, be controlled? George Estabrooks was clearly convinced that was indeed the case. He claimed that, okay, do you want to talk, William?
No, I just like that. That's so important. Can enhanced dissociative states, once created, be controlled?
Yes.
I mean, the answer is yes.
Man, it's so, okay. So George Estabrooks, again, this name that we're going to get into in the further episodes, he claimed that once a person's core personality had been split, it was then possible to control one or more of the alter personalities without the conscious awareness of the primary personality. This process, according to Estabrooks, allowed the intelligence community to create super spies, unwitting agents who were willing to follow any orders unquestioningly. And they would smoke cow dung while they do it. They don't know. I mean, everything is totally gone. They have no awareness. Just like in Manchurian Candidate, what we saw. So getting back to this, among other duties, these super spies made ideal couriers since they could be fed sensitive information while in a controlled dissociative state and therefore have no conscious awareness that they were transporting important data.
So, you know, Kay Griggs, you guys familiar with her
Oh,
stuff?
whoa, yeah.
The hours and hours and hours, right? The whole
She's
thing.
great. Holy crap. She's on YouTube. Everybody look up Kay Griggs.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she actually, it was interesting. I see what happened to her. She actually just retired from, you know, doing stuff in public, just hanging out with her family. But Kay Griggs, I mean, her husband, right, is part of this whole inner world of that, you
Naval
know,
intelligence.
high level intelligence with parties, you know, gay stuff, with all kinds of things going on, and even this kind of, you know, the split personality, or whatever you
Right.
want to call it. But
He would get drunk and spill all the stuff. Go ahead. Sorry.
no, yeah, go ahead. Yeah, that's all.
Okay. Well, yeah, he would get drunk. You were saying earlier about the drinking alcohol is almost a different personality, you know, and they are encouraged to drink alcohol. And at those parties that Kay would talk about, it was like way lots of alcohol. And that's the only way that he could like really live his life, is totally drunk the whole time. And that it suppresses his mind from realizing, you know, it's another way of self occulting, you know. Anyway, so even under torture, the super spy would reveal nothing. For as far as he or she was aware, there was nothing to reveal. Someone at the receiving end who was familiar with the super spy's programming, however, could readily extract the information, after which the super spy would remain blissfully unaware that a mission had been successfully completed. And just like the Manchurian Candidate, he was, he's playing solitaire, and the guy tells him to go jump in the lake, and he didn't know that he did that. I mean, his friend pulls him out of the lake. He says, "What are you doing?" He says, "I don't know." So, okay.
And there were some hypnotic couriers, you know, even during World War One. So, I mean, this is something that there was some knowledge, and I think also if you look at magic, right, quote unquote, what would be typified as magic, say in the Renaissance, you know, people would do types of rituals, right? They, depending on their strata of society, but still, you know, in a certain way, Queen Elizabeth, I mean, John Dee was performing magic rituals for her, you know, and.
Right.
So, but what I'm trying to say is that within this, are there particular fragrances? Are there particular light, sound, color combinations? Are there whatever energies, whatever you want to say, that some of this stuff can be shift? You know what I mean? There's stuff that was around the Hashishans, man. This is full, you know. You know, this was a pretty advanced technology in the 13th century or whatever, right? With no technology. So I just wanted to throw it out there, especially the courier stuff, though. But one last thing about that is it's pretty light. It's one thing to carry information that you just remember this information, you repeat it, and then it's silenced. It's another thing to train someone to be like an assassin. You know what I mean? There's much more complex.
The courier thing also happens with the hookers, the sex women, because they are, you know, they're brought around by the USO show to the enemy territory to go like tell the, you know, the generals what to do. You know, so in their altered state of sex kitten or whatever, they relay information to powerful people that are accessing them, you know. So like that's another way of information transmission that's used here. It's not just the super soldier, it's also the women in the sex stuff. And just like with the LSD thing, the nocturnal emissions, that program that the government did where they would dose the johns of the hookers, and then they would try to, you know, influence and tell them things and try to extract things and that type of stuff. So I will continue. As dubious as Estabrooks's scenario may at first appear to be, it is not so very different from the common phenomenon of driving on autopilot. Let us imagine that you have managed once again to find yourself at work with no idea how you got there. You can remember nothing beyond pulling out of your driveway. So you decide out of curiosity to pay a visit to a skilled hypnotist. And there's another footnote here. Hypnotism is another phenomenon that is regarded with considerable skepticism by both the general public and the scientific community, although there are signs that that is beginning to change. Despite its long history, scientists have wondered whether hypnotism is a genuine psychological state or a gimmick. Noted the National Post, in quotes, but recent research shows it causes measurable changes in the brain, unquote. A number of mainstream media articles in recent years have begun to acknowledge the effectiveness of hypnosis, especially as a means of pain control. Lamaze childbirth techniques, for example, are really just a form of self-hypnosis. Psychology Today noted that hypnotism is not an all or nothing phenomenon, but rather a continuum. Most people can be hypnotized to some degree. The other question is how far. The same can be said, of course, of the ability to dissociate, which largely determines susceptibility to hypnotism. Okay, so like if they dissociate easy, then a hypnotist can easily hypnotize them. It's a symptom.
And I want to say that it's I think important to bear in mind that our society, in a sense, has become hypnagogic, right? It has. We are surrounded by images, media, flashing here, there. You know what I mean? Social media. You can scroll, you go here, there. You know what I mean? So it's like that flood of images or whatever, before you fall asleep. It goes into, but also this misdefinition of what hypnosis actually is at fundamental to expanded, and how this is differentiated from, say, proper functioning, right? It's like, we're looking at a thing, everybody is the level of hypnosis is quite high, much higher than it was in the past. And but then we don't have the definition, cerebral inhibition, right? You can be hypnotized and not even know, because this, but then of course, we have to define it. So we'll go on from there, but still, we don't, you know what I mean? It's like, yes, there's different extreme amounts, but NLP if you do like the pickup artist things, right? These guys were really into that. Back, they're probably still doing it, which, whatever, good for them. As just using all these advanced. No, a friend of mine unfortunately passed away. He gave me this like huge CD. It's like 20 CD set. It was just all NLP hypnosis techniques to pick up women. I did not get through. I don't listen to it, but it was like this whole like seminar, man. People paid this dude paid a lot of money to go there. But
crazy,
but that's the thing. There's a susceptibility to trance induction. When you're at the gym and the screens are flashing, you're not, notice you can't get away from the music, the background music. You can't get away from the telescreens. You can, but I'm just saying in general. Yeah.
Yeah. It's 1984. Anyway, okay. So yeah, I agree. Like that episode we did about doom scrolling and what it does to our heads. Like, yeah, you have a lot to say about that, Hans. That's great. So, okay, you could decide to visit a hypnotist who succeeds in putting you under, so to speak, while the hypnotic trance, another term for a dissociative state, you would be able to relate to the hypnotist and anyone else in the room all the mundane details of your drive to work, because it is your subconscious gets it all. Your conscious mind might not record it, but the subconscious does get everything. So the hypnotist can access that. Once brought back to a normal state of consciousness, however, you would still have no conscious memory of your drive to work unless instructed otherwise by the hypnotist. Unless the hypnotist gave your conscious mind, your front personality, the information, because it's severed from the dissociated other self. So William, could you do the page next? You would have served in essence as a super spy. All that is missing from the equation is the element of control. And how would that control be attained? Estabrooks shied away from the details, maybe not in that FBI document, only alluding to the severe psychic torture that is required to split a person's core personality and then exert control over the alter personalities that are created. The trauma is often referred to euphemistically as a form of hypnotism. In one passage, for example, Estabrooks noted that multiple personalities are caused by a form of hypnotism in the first place. We will see that emotional shock produces exactly the same results as hypnotism. Wow. So later he came to later he came a little closer to the truth. Multiple personality can be both caused and cured by hypnotism. Remember that war is a grim business. Suppose we deliberately set up the condition of multiple personality to further the ends of military intelligence. Still later, he came even closer. Everyone can be thrown into the deepest state of hypnotism by the use of what I termed the Russian method. The Russian method, not the Manchurian, right? No holds barred, deliberate disintegration of the personality by psychic torture. The subject might easily be left a mental wreck, but war is a grim business. War itself is the trauma, and they talk about in Full Metal Jacket the 1,000-yard stare. Like the people, they change, their eyes change. Like after Joker kills that woman with his revolver, his face changes, and they're like, "Oh, you could get the Congressional Medal of Ugly." They're like making fun of him because he's different now. Now he's sealed into the hell, before he shoots, there's like an upside down pentagram on the flag behind him. It's like they successfully turned him into a murderer. His compassion did it, but but it changes you, and it's that is it's another self, and that the shell shock that the term from World War I, and they started talking about it, and it got turned into euphemistically. It kept euphemistically changing, like what George Carlin said, the adding more syllables to the, now it's post-traumatic stress disorder, and like that, it pulls you away from the power of the word of shell shock. It tells you what in the word itself, but then the in a sense the neurolinguistic programming of giving it all those more syllables and hyphens and doctorizing it and putting in the DSM, it turns it into just a number, and it's not really a person getting changed,
turning it into a movement where it becomes a normal way to talk about things.
Right.
I'm having PTSD, right?
Very, very well said.
And so people, and then the trauma, you see people at least I've heard from others say that, they're, especially some younger people, they're just unable to function. I have trauma, I have this trauma, and they shut down. They have these meltdowns. I mean, just, trying to deal with them in certain types of settings, whatever. Not, of course, I'm just saying as just sort of information inputs, but that level of, you take something that is actually like the shell shock. If you look at the video, right, early video of people from World War I with shell shock, see that. Okay, this is serious, man. This is not what people associate PTSD or trauma with, right? It is a really severe, thing that is that's there. So but anyways,
look at the art of Otto Dix, the grim visuals of war, and how grim business indeed. Holy crap. War is indeed a grim business, as Estabrooks was apparently fond of stating, but that in a sense wipes away the morality factor. Oh, it's grim, we don't have to care, whatever, it's just part of the business. doing what I'm told, boss. Just like in Nuremberg, like just following orders here.
That's the timing. This is Estabrooks is right around World War II, so he talks a lot about wartime application of this stuff.
So
if we can get done with this page, we can finish off with Rogan, which Hans mentioned earlier, the hypnotist at the Comedy Mothership. It's actually a perfect place to do the video because we're going to talk about brainwashing and cults.
I love how we tie it to current day stuff because we're talking about World War II time, but I mean, it's still, even Joe Rogan talks about it. So, so yes, it is a grim business and, whatever, just write it off on the paperwork and file it away and no moral judgment here. I'm part of the group. I don't have morality. Anyway. He's fond of stating, but the argument hardly justified that the type of research the doctor endorsed, including using children who are notoriously easy to hypnotize as research subjects. Decades after the publication of Estabrooks' seminal work, another psychiatrist hypnotist by the name of Paul Verdier, Verdier, wrote an obscure book entitled Brainwashing and the Cults, an expose on capturing the human mind. Verdier's manuscript began on a promising note with this acknowledgement. It must be accepted that brainwashing is now being used here in the United States by devious persons with personal gain in mind. Unfortunately, the author followed that bold proclamation with a woefully inaccurate accounting of who those devious persons might be. He did, though, provide a reasonably good description of the process of mind control, although Verdier, like Estabrooks, did not use the term mind control. By Verdier's account, the objective of the would-be brainwasher is to access those areas of the brain that are outside of the individual's conscious mind. This is accomplished, the doctor explained, by circumventing the normal inhibiting response to the cerebral cortex, so that an individual's voluntary conscious self-control will be bypassed or short-circuited. In order to disable what Verdier referred to as the brain's cortical block, all of the following were recommended: alcohol, euphoric drugs, isolation, solitary confinement, and the most dramatic and unique item in the brainwashing arsenal, hypnosis. All of these brainwashing techniques significantly have been exhaustively researched by the CIA. Verdier went on to explain that in order to achieve truly lasting states of brainwashing or mind control, it is necessary to subject the victim to profound and deep emotional states. The recommended emotional states are fear, shock, and anxiety. Make you think of 9/11, never forget, right? So, all of which have an intense disinhibitive effect on the human brain. Even more effective is pain, because according to the eminent neurologist Dr. Wilder Penfield, Dr. Penfield was an associate of the notorious medical torture practitioner and MK Ultra operative Dr. David Ewan Cameron. I like how he describes Ewan Cameron. So Wilder Penfield, sensations of pain from the muscular sensory system enter the subcortical brain regions directly. With the passage seemingly lifted from Estabrooks' writings, Verdier left no doubt that pain and fear are the most useful items in the MK Ultra toolbox. What is SRA? I mean, holy crap. Okay. In quotes, Russian political scientists do support the belief that given enough punishment, all the people in any time or place are susceptible to hypnotic control. Footnote here. This is a very common form of disinformation that is found frequently in the writings of CIA-affiliated writers. Acknowledge that mind control is a real phenomenon, but then blame it all on those godless communists. Just like Manchurian Candidate happened in Manchuria over there, right? Yeah. Other agency-penned manuscripts deny that mind control exists at all, which is another common form of disinformation. Okay, Verdier echoed other Estabrooks' beliefs as well, including the idea that brainwashing could and should be widely utilized for benevolent purposes. I can't see. Can you get the thing off the screen?
Oh,
Fez
sorry.
Woody's comment. That's okay.
Sorry.
I can't see the bottom. That's all. So another footnote, number 7 here. The final chapter of Verdier's book, entitled "Benevolent Brainwashing." In the future, this is like all this Huxley, holy crap, contains the following recommendation. The process of brainwashing could be used effectively and economically to solve many of society's pressing human problems, which, until now, have seemed virtually unsolvable. This is like Brave New World, the whole thing. They'll love their servitude, you know? So where was I? Okay.
The way he says that, too, they would love this attitude, like a creep. Such a creep.
Yeah, and he like had hygiene problems. He was messed up in the head, you know, and that whole thing.
He was inbred. He was part of like the whole. His whole look at his family tree. It's like 2 names.
Who are you talking about?
Huxley.
Huxley.
They all
Huxley.
inbred with each other, and then Huxley grew like he was tall, but he had really bad eyes.
Right, and then Julian, his brother, like what did he do?
UNESCO.
He was in right. So that's all government right in there. Okay, so
that's world government. Yeah.
Well, Huxley was a protege of H.G. Wells, right?
Yes,
and he was part. There was a whole OTO, you know, scene.
H.G. Wells.
The early one directly founded by Crowley and all that stuff, and that was
Crowley. There is
and the Fabian socialist like
Margaret Sanger and H.G. Wells.
There's good evidence that Crowley painted a portrait of Huxley.
Oh my
it's
God.
It's in a private collection somewhere.
And
They
these
were
guys
together, and Crowley turned Huxley onto mescaline.
and they're also in that kind of picture of Dorian Gray, you know, lifestyle with, you know what I mean, like lots of some kinky stuff going on with Huxley and those guys. But he was introduced, though, that, you know, the psychedelic stuff were brought even when he was still in England, right? He was seen as this great spokesperson for this. In fact, that was his job.
Right.
And he set up these original networks of these like temples in like Southern California. They were temple that was like the Euratranian Order of the Divine something or other, kind of a weird name. But and then these also were connected, of course, with Esalen Institute and all this stuff, right? As the other side of taking that light box, right? This was counterculture. Put this on and just trip out. It's really cool.
Yeah, and Grateful Dead, that whole thing, and Stanford Research, and
it's pretty incredible because he's kind of ties into JFK in an oblique way, because he and JFK died on the same day.
Oh,
and he was taking acid too. Huxley, his wife, was dosing him with acid as he was on way out.
good for him though. It must have been fun.
And of course, The Devils of London, right? Which is that really crazy book.
Loudon.
It's the movie. The movie. The movie by Ken Russell, man. That movie was banned. Yeah. That is an intense.
They are taking
Grandier.
over.
I actually read into my history things the whole story behind the Devils of like it was like something out of a CIA experiment. It was mass hysteria.
Grandier, the word means to be ridden by I forget,
a horse
exactly.
or something.
Yeah, like so Grandier is like
Urban Grandier was his name. It's weird.
And it goes to
might be fake.
What the demon possession of the voodoo people say, it's like being ridden like a horse.
Wow,
you know,
that's
they're
wild.
just it's wild.
I was going to say this earlier, which is a broader point, but we are surrounded, right? I started out talking about these mass shootings that are happening, with some of which are pretty, you know, of course it's par for the course, but this creates a state of tension. But this man.
Fear and pain, like to see the pain of the children dying at this Christian school shot up by whoever, and it hurts. Like for us to see Charlie Kirk get murdered on camera, like it's
intentional.
Yes.
That was planned out.
Yes.
Like I don't think the JFK shooting, like we got different visuals, but the Charlie Kirk, that's intentional cause of fear.
Yeah.
Like really,
they had fireworks at the memorial. Like what?
No, but it was they knew he was going to be there, so they made sure. Like they
Right.
could have got him on a driveway or something,
right?
Or
So
got him going to the hotel. No, they wanted a public execution.
right.
Guy.
And that like
That's
it
what they
harms
chose to
all
do.
of us. And that like 9/11 was a public execution of all those people. And that trauma is like what they were saying they can use for, in their terms, the dark occults, like they think they're doing 9/11 for benevolent purposes. So they can have their one world order and only kill 3,000 people instead of having a whole war to get this Patriot Act. You know what I mean? They need to traumatize the public sufficiently enough so that they will accept their enslavement, and it's a controlled situation on their own territory that, you know what I mean? Like, it's much cleaner and easier than doing like whatever war. Anything can happen. Like once they do that, then they can have their controlled wars with the Iraq and the Afghanistan and all this, like, the years of endless war, like in 1984, but it started with our consent, and our consent came from the trauma that came, the fear, the state of fear, shock, and anxiety.
But hysteria, mass hysteria. So what you have is the ability to create small pockets of mass hysteria, right? Or separated, like you're talking about all the TikTok challenges. That's a mass hysteria.
Whoa,
It's separated geographically, right?
It's just this sentence right here. Russian political scientists do support the belief that given enough punishment, all the people in any time or place are susceptible to hypnotic control.
There you go. Like
all the people in any time or place.
But it has to come through trauma. That's the mechanism. So they have to
enough punishment.
Right.
But you can voluntarily be hypnotized. That's what's also happening, right?
You can watch TV.
Lamaze thing, right?
It's orange threat level today, and it's red threat level. Oh, Obama. Freaking.
They're ramping it up right now. There's going to be a terrorist attack. Al Qaeda's infiltrated the U.S. They're going to terror attack you.
Right, dude.
Well, I don't think
never ending. Never forget.
Right. Why are we paying $1 trillion for defense? Losers let Al Qaeda
like
into
that boat though. The boat.
Where's the money going? What are you doing, you idiots? Like you've $1 trillion defense department, and you've got sleeper cells in the United States.
Right.
What a joke! What a joke. Hold on. Let's finish off this paragraph. And then play the video and then wrap it up. We're at the 2-hour mark.
Thank you. Yep.
Brainwashing can be slow, insidious, and sure when applied to children in early life. It is likely there is a short period of time following corporal punishment when the child is in a state of decortication, hypnosis, so to speak. This is the ideal time to plant the positive instructions for better behavior in the future. What the good doctor considered corporal punishment and positive instructions was left to the reader's imagination. And this is kind of interesting. This is what you had.
Think about public school.
The building that I bought was owned by a cult.
Get out of town.
Yeah. I didn't know the extent of it until I was already in the deal, until I already signed the contract. My friend Adam called me up. He goes, "Hey, man, you watched the documentary on this cult?" Adam Egett, who's our talent coordinator. I go, "No." He goes, "Oh, it's bad. You should watch it." He goes, "It's fucking crazy. It's called Holy Hell." Yeah. It's about this dude. His name is Jaime Gomez. And he was a gay porn star and a hypnotist. And he started a cult in West Hollywood. He was teaching people yoga, and he got a bunch of young disciples, and they believed that he was a guru, and that he was God energy, and he convinced them. And he ran this game for like 10 fucking years.
Maybe he was hypnotizing people.
He was 100%. That's how he got in trouble. They all started talking because one guy left the cult. And when he left the cult, he sent a mass email saying, "Hey, man, this guy's been hypnotizing me and fucking me for the past 10 years. And then they all started talking about it. And they all started sharing the email, and they all started sharing their stories with him. They had all kind of kept it under wraps. And this guy was doing this, and he escaped L.A. because they were after him. It was right around the time when Waco went down, and the Cult Awareness Network was like going after cults. And so they escaped. He changes his name again. His name was Jaime Gomez. He changed his name to Michelle. and then he changed it again to Andreas, and that's when he moved to Austin, and he built this place called the One World Theater, and this is the place I bought. So all these poor, lost kids, they built this place for him. They were his disciples. They didn't have contractors. The cult members built the place.
Under hypnosis.
Well, I don't think that was under hypnosis, but what he would do is he'd give them therapy every week. He'd charge them money, charge them $50 for therapy, and then he'd fuck them. This guy. You should watch the documentary. The documentary is wild. Because,
holy hell.
Yeah, because like we were talking about cults. Here's the thing. In the beginning, it was working. In the beginning, it looked like fun. Because I think in the beginning, he was young and hot. He's a beautiful man, especially when he was young. And he had this crazy body, six-pack. That's when he's getting older. But when he was young, when he was a gay porn star, he was a beautiful man. And I think he probably got plenty of dick already. He didn't have to fuck his disciples. And he just had these people that were like washing his feet, and he was teaching them yoga and telling them that they're all God energy and everyone's God and I'm God. And he even got so far with the hypnosis that he convinced these people that he could give them the enlightenment. They could touch them. I think he called it the knowing. And it would be like this big thing. You had to earn the knowing. But when he gave it to these people, just the power of suggestion, these people were like they were having these like ecstatic, psychedelic experiences. Like they encountered God, and it lasted for days. And these are people talking about this after they left the cult, after they knew he was a con man, after they knew that he'd just been hypnotizing people and fucking them, and he was just full of shit and getting plastic surgery and all kinds of wild shit. Even though they had gone through all that, they still went back and talked about when he would do that to them early in their life, and that they really did like experience God.
They was on shrooms.
I don't think they were. I think it's the power of suggestion, because I've seen it have you ever seen a comedy hypnotist?
Yes.
They can do some wild shit to people. That's a comedy hypnotist in front of an audience.
Yeah.
If you're a real hypnotist like this guy was,
and did nobody know it, and you're just doing.
And you're trained in hypnotherapy, you know how to get people to think. And if you've learned how to get people to think that there's this thing that you have, and you can give it to them, and you hold it over their head for a long fucking time until you actually do give it to them. And when you do give it to them, they believe it wholeheartedly, and so they actually experience it. Because your brain can produce all kinds of wild chemicals. Your brain can produce.
He gets it. I showed that when I was on Tripoli, or Tinfoil Hat, we did the whole thing with the Latino guy, the Latino actor, and how Charlie Manson would hypnotize them into thinking they were drunk and on heroin, and their brains had already had the experience. So it's almost like he was able to hypnotize them into the state of that. I can show that video too. Actually, I'll bring it up.
There's legitimate
There's a cult member, I guess, a guy that's on. They had a little small documentary on Vice, and you know how insidious Vice can be. But anyway, this guy, he's like a Christian. He's like 20 something, and he wears fresh caps, and he's got whatever, and he looks like kind of like a hippie. And he quit drugs and went to Jesus, and then he has these sessions with all these people where they imagine that they're still doing drugs, but they'll like hold up nothing to their lips and inhale, and then they'll feel high and party, but they're just partying with the Jesus energy, I guess, and we're getting high on God and stuff. And like he's programming them to like, act like you're rolling the joint and act like you're breathing it, and like they feel high. They are induce the trance in themselves. It's really weird.
Let's go back here.
Psychedelic chemicals, like full-on tripping chemicals.
Yeah.
So if this guy can convince you that that's happening, your brain probably does dump all those chemicals out because you think it's actually happening.
That's crazy.
Crazy. So he's kind of telling the truth, which is the most fucked up thing. He's kind of giving you this experience, and it is a real experience. But the whole thing goes off the rails. It goes off the rails. And eventually they actually fly him to Hawaii to get rid of him.
Damn.
They can't get rid of this guy.
And why he can't be arrested for the nonsense that he's doing?
See, the thing is, if you're going to arrest him, like those people are there because they're willing to be there. They want to be there. They believe in him. 20 people went with him to Hawaii. But when the cult broke up, a bunch of them flew to Hawaii with him.
Yeah, he got
That's control.
We started a whole new cult over there.
The Texas thing was a complete debacle.
And he's old
man.
by then.
He was
Now
raping
he's old,
kids,
he's like
man.
shit.
You know what I mean? He was raping
Really?
the
He was
kid-
young, and he was
his
like
sons
this
and
beautiful
daughters.
guy.
Yeah,
He's convincing
they're
everybody.
underage. Some of them.
Think about Jim Jones and those people. Like they,
He's
they
dark.
drank the Kool-Aid. If they did drink it, if they weren't mad. But that whole thing is same.
But he kept getting. He had all. It wasn't drug related, right? But it was this body and energy. And everyone was really good looking and hot, and you know what I mean, and the whole thing. But
You met Charles Manson.
okay, good.
So this is Manson hypnotizing Dan. I think his name's Danny
Aiello? Trejo, yeah.
Trejo. He was in Heat. He always
Right.
plays like the bad guy or Machete or something.
So you met Charles Manson in prison, didn't you? What was that story? Can you tell us that?
County jail. In the county jail. But let me tell you, Charlie wasn't the guy that you saw on the TV specials. All right. He was he was like 5'4", 5'5", little scrawny. He was poor, kind of like a bum, really. He had a string for a belt. He tied his pants with a string because he couldn't afford a belt, and everybody else, we dressed, cool, ironed our pants, and so some of the prisoners were going to take advantage of him because they take advantage of anybody that's small. And we found out that he could hypnotize you. So we let him sleep in front of our cell to make sure that nobody would hurt him. And he got us loaded on weed. And
He's not really explaining himself. He's made this statement in multiple places. But what he's saying is that he hypnotized them to think they were high on weed and heroin.
and 3 other guys in the cell. Everybody else had like 6 guys in their cell. We only had 3 because we were special. I had 2 killers with me. And then he got us loaded on weed. And I said, well, get us loaded on heroin. So the 3 of us tried to get loaded. He got 2 of us loaded on heroin. One guy just woke up. And afterwards I asked him, how come you couldn't do him? And he asked, did you ever get loaded on heroin? He goes, no. Well, your mind doesn't know how to work. Do you understand? Your mind doesn't know how to react. So if I tell you to do something while you're hypnotized and you haven't done it before, or you don't know how to do it, you'll just wake up. And that's what kept happening.
Yeah.
See,
Wow.
Manson knew it. You'll just wake up. So I can't program. He knew. He was an experienced hypnotist, Manson.
So you're saying that he got
He was
got
in
you guys loaded
connection
up
with
on
Jolly
heroin
and
a week,
West
but there was,
too, right? Like him and Jolly and West were in connection, and Haight-Ashbury, weren't they?
I don't know if they've ever made that connection. I know that the Manson family was seeking treatment at the Haight-Ashbury clinic.
Well,
When he was in jail, he was visited.
I don't know.
no, Jolly West was running his hippie house, right? So Jolly West had this. Not only there was the free clinic, right, where Manson's parole officer was there, but Jolly West was running. He also had offices in that building, in the clinic building, for his. They had hippie houses, right, with agents, undercover agents who, have written about it. They worked as undercover agents in the hippie houses all at the same time Manson was there, right? And Manson was given LSD by his parole officer. And then that's when he started getting this messianic vision, because that wasn't there before. He didn't have he was whatever. He was a street hustler or whatever he was, pimp, etc. But yeah, so.
there was no heroin or weed in the room, right? He was doing this purely through hypnosis.
People know when I get loaded on heroin, my eyes, I get red under my eyes. And it's like literally the first thing, blah, you throw up, you dump. And I mean, me and Chato, it's like we both got blah. He dumped in the sink, I dumped in the toilet.
So the effect was enough to
Wow.
make them think that they were on heroin and throw up.
Wow.
And looked, hey, what you doing? And whoa, everybody was like shocked. And this Johnny Ronnie Cruz, he was like, well, what happened? He never got loaded. And boy, I was sorry when they transferred Charlie out.
It's all right, because
basically-
he was getting drunk. He was getting high for free.
You got unlimited access to anything that you want because he can just keep on hypnotizing you back into it. What was he in for? Do you know why he was there?
Yeah, I have no idea. You know, yeah, he was nothing of any.
He's told Trejo's told the story.
These guys got to be hard to hit.
Wanted- Oh no!
I
What
just
happened?
hit the wrong button.
Sorry,
Sorry.
just
sorry.
real quick. These guys must be hard to hypnotize. These are convicted murderers, right? These are pretty hard at. I don't know. Don't
I mean,
you
a
think?
lot of them had trauma when they were kids, probably. If it caused them to
Don't
be
you
that.
think
Yeah.
that's why they're in jail? Probably.
Yeah.
Dad beat the crap out of him. I got to run, guys. So you guys can.
Thank
I
you,
don't know if
William.
can stay on, but I'm.
I have to
Oh,
go
that's
too,
great.
man. So
all right.
No, I gotta go too. Thank you very much for your time, and thank you for bringing this. And just having this to read from and to talk openly is just so awesome. I'm so glad that we had this recorded, and thank you, listeners, for listening. And
There will be a
everybody,
part
please-
6.
Yes, yeah. We will
So
schedule
we're
that.
rolling.
Yes, perfect. And everybody should visit WilliamRamseyInvestigates.com, and everybody should visit the Resonant State and see Hans's work. And please visit Wake the Dead if you're one of their listeners. Thank you very much for joining us.
Awesome.
Have a wonderful day.
Yeah, peace, everybody.